afternoon, race fans, and welcome to Round 6 of the National Rock Racing Association, presented by Raceline Wheels this weekend. We are at the Good Evening Ranch in Canvas, West Virginia. I'm Bree Molitor. I've got my co-host Matt Holt with me, as always, and we are just about ready to kick off with our Super Grip UTV stock class. But, Matt, before we start sending drivers off the line, why don't you give the folks at home a quick overview of kind of the regulations for the stock class?
Sure. The biggest thing is the chassis. The chassis and the plastics, that kind of divides that versus a tube chassis, which you'll see in the Cup Series later today. The biggest chassis, again, you can have some modifications. You have He has kind of the perfect example of that chassis looking like. But, again, that core part of the chassis and panels, they have to have the factory panels. Some of them are trimmed very heavily, as you'll see racing today. But they definitely allow quite a bit of modification, and Clyde does a great job of helping keep those rules for us.
All right, Matt, thanks for that little overview for us. And before we get any further into today's racing, as far as the stock class goes, let's go ahead and kind of look at the points that we have coming into this weekend. I've got our top 5 here for the Super Grip UTV stock class. So you mentioned Cody Cayson already. Cody is sitting solidly in the lead with a 73-point lead coming into the weekend right now. So that we just came back from our mid-season break, just a quick refresher. And so we are halfway through. We've had 5 races already. Today is number 6. So, yes, Cody coming in with that really solid lead. And then we've got Robert Trainer sitting at second place right now. And third is Coy Chappell, who's actually going to be starting things off for us today. Matt, you want to take us through the rest of the list here?
Yeah, Coy coming in third. Again, that beautiful teal buggy, which I'm a huge fan of. Coming in fourth place, Justin Hoback at 391. Again, he's been an awesome guy. He's been doing a whole bunch of racing this season, as we'll see a little bit tomorrow. And then coming in and wrapping up that top 5. And, again, super competitive Daniel Hoeckele with 385.
All right, so like I mentioned, Coy Chappell is sitting on the line. He is ready to rock and roll. Our first driver of the weekend here at the Good Evening Ranch. Let's head to the line and get things started.
Again, Coy Chappell coming in. He is sitting fourth, I think. Hoeckele. He is on that leaderboard. I was trying to check and see exactly where he's sitting at. Coy, obviously a guy raced with us quite a while, does a great job. Him and Timmy are BFF, so you can see some of the same hints that you see in Tim Cameron with Coy. Again, doing a great job. I'm a fan. He has a little bit of a teal splashed in there. Has a new chassis with that gold that looks really, really sharp. Again, obviously you can see him ripping through. Oh, wow. Ripping this long strip straight away. A lot of guys were talking about this water in the puddle, but Coy did not lift, heading right into it. There's that long straightaway after going through that really, really rugged rock section there. You can kind of see a bit of a rock garden. They had a wee rock competition here last weekend, so you can see some of that rock terrain is very, very gnarly, and definitely rock crawlers have a good time, but we're trying to go a little bit faster than those guys.
This is Coy's second year racing with us here with the NRRA. He's raced, he says, on and off for a few years with other series. And what got him into it was good old-fashioned hill killing and his UTVs with friends. And we're glad to have him out here joining in the fun.
You can see him coming through this wooded section here. We have, starts out, they go right through that little rock garden, coming out through a long speedway section. This is not necessarily what I would call a rock garden, although it is very rock heavy. Again, it's very tree friendly, a lot of cloud cover there. It's a little bit cooler. I'm sure some of our spectators will enjoy that today as well.
Definitely.
But this is a great little area he'll be ripping through. And it is rough, but it's not super crazy tough. But you got to remember, this is a race, so guys are going to be pushing as hard as they possibly can through there. You might see some A-arms break, some ball joints today. It looks like Coy is trying to get it limped through. We'll see what his time's going to be.
All right, let's get that time for Coy Chappell. And that was a 107.262 for Coy, our first time of the day and of the weekend.
Yeah. Great job by Coy.
And with that, we've got Brantley Havens on the line. Now, Brantley's filling in for Don Curtis today. A lot of times our drivers will, if they can't make it to a race, then they'll have someone fill in for them because they don't want to sacrifice those points.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about the individual races, but but for the series, we've got a 10-event series, and the drivers are racing for all of those points to add up. So you don't want to have to miss out on that if you don't have to. So Brantley stepped up for Don Curtis this weekend. See what kind of course he can run for him.
Again, Brantley Haven, very young, one of our first people who to graduate from our youth program into our more of a advanced full-size rig. Very, very awesome time. We're going to change a quick battery on one of our timers. Again, you got Brantley Haven sitting in that race line, starting gate. The kind of cool, you can see him kind of hiding behind those rocks. You actually have to pull through a gauntlet. I drove my dad through there this morning. It's
it's a really cool feature.
It is. It's like 20-foot tall rocks on both sides of you as you're pulling through there. It's very, very cool to see. Very awesome, and again, a very, very neat way to start a race course.
Yeah, it's kind of like a canyon that we can, and it's just the right size to line up a few of our UTVs in there and send them out that race line starting gate. This weekend is once again presented by Raceline Wheels, so a huge shout out and thank you to them and all of our sponsors as always. And there's a beautiful crowd shot. You can see our pit area. We've got a great group of spectators out here today, and I know they're just going to keep on coming in as we continue through today and then start off again tomorrow.
And again, talking about beautiful weather, I mean, it's just an absolute wonderful day right now. High about 85. Right now there's a cool breeze. If you're a spectator sitting in the trees, it is wonderful. Got a great rain last night, which dropped that temperature from about mid-90s to mid-80s.
Yes,
and again,
drop the dust down, too.
Yeah, for real. So sitting in the shade, nice cool breeze going by. So hopefully we'll hang on to that for a little bit for tomorrow as well.
So for those of you that are new to the series, thank you for joining us here on Hillside Live and watching all the racing action from National Rock Racing Association and here on Power Sports World TV. We are so grateful to have you guys tuning in with us. We are racing our UTV stock and cup classes today, and then we'll be back tomorrow with all the rest of our classes. That'll be UTV Bounty, our limited bouncer, unlimited bouncer, teen am, and youth. And now we've got Brantley Havens out on the course. Brantley comes out of Moorhead, Kentucky to race with us. He normally races in our UTV teen/amateur class, and as Matt said, he started out in our youth class, kind of aged up on out of that and graduated to the teen class, and right now he's filling in for Don Curtis. This is our Super Grip UTV stock class.
Hitting that long, speedy straightaway section there. They are slowly cleaning up that mud hole. Got a little rock kind of jump, and then they turn around and come right back around that little teardrop area.
I think it's going to dry up real fast out there today with this sun baking down.
And I love the fact they're transitioning from that super hardcore rock garden to into this high-speed section, and they come right back into that very rough rock garden. Again, you can see those stock UTVs just taking a beating.
Yeah, one of the great things about the fact that we race at different off-road parks all over pretty much the southeast. We go as far east here as West Virginia, as far west as Oklahoma, and everywhere in between. And so the terrain varies so much between all these different parks and the different parts of the country that we're in. Here we've got all this rock garden, like Matt mentioned, lots of other parks. You know, it's weaving through the trees, maybe more mud, more dust, some short course action we get to work in in Missouri. So it's fun to see how we can build these courses for the drivers in all of our different classes out here and make it fun and challenging for all of them.
Again, Brantley doing great work here. You can see how big some of those rocks are in that little... Oh, no.
Oh.
Man, we're hearing that he went outside the race course, so unfortunately he's going to get a DNF.
Oh, man, I hate that for
Dang
Brantley.
It. Again, great run. Unfortunately, not going to get a qualifying time.
But he can be back for round 2 still.
Heck yeah.
Right now, we've got Bert Sevy sitting in their race line starting gate. And Bert had an auspicious beginning with us here earlier this season at Winrock.
Yes.
He smoked a tree stump, and it was rough on the buggy. It was first time racing with us, so man, we always hate to see that, especially for our first time drivers. But man, he got that thing fixed, back together, and he's been back at it with us for the rest of the season. So we are so glad to see him back out here once again.
Just smashed into that puddle.
Clearing out some of that water for everybody else.
Me and my dad got a chance to talk to this morning. He's like, I didn't want to start my season that way, but he goes, it did make me famous because by the second race, everybody knew my name.
Everybody knew that one.
He's like, I wasn't trying to wreck, but he's like, it was still a good time. He said, we have a good time trail riding. He goes, I usually send it, pretty hard. So he said racing is definitely right in his wheelhouse.
And hey, what a way to get some views too on social media, YouTube.
Oh yeah,
and I know that video racked up quite a few.
Just absolutely thrashing through that RCV rock section.
All right, and he is entering the rock garden. And keep in mind, as always, that objects on camera are larger and steeper in person than they look on the TV screen. So I walked through here this morning just to check the course out, and it's pretty gnarly in there.
It is, and again, those rocks kind of kick you side to side. That's a 106.310 for Bert Sevy.
And that is our current fastest time. All right, I see Cody Cayson sitting on the starting line.
Our Cody is our currently points leader in this championship hunt for the UTV stock class.
And not just leading, but leading by a lot.
Wow.
A 73-point lead from Cody Cayson coming into this weekend. So this marks coming back from our halfway point. We've had the first half of the season under our belt. We took our mid-season break, and so this weekend marks our first race back after our break. Cody and Clay Cayson are also our featured drivers. We do something called Featured Driver Fridays, where you might have noticed that we are wearing our CNC Racing shirts today to represent. And we like to just be able to take our Fridays to recognize one of the drivers or the race teams that's out here and just kind of show them a little love, maybe rep their shirts and give them a shout-out on here. So we call that Featured Driver Friday. Cody and Clay Cayson definitely always putting on a show out here, laying down some super fast times.
And we have such a vast amount of drivers who have such great merch, too. Very cool, stylish merch. We love showing some love to them. Again, this is Cody Cayson running, but his brother Clay will be also racing later today. He is literally just carrying that front tire around that teardrop turn.
And what a fun course out here. They get the wide open section. They've got the woods. They've got the rock garden, a little bit of everything here at the Good Evening Ranch in Canvas, West Virginia. They're going to get some hill action, too, before everything's said and done out here this weekend.
And this is our stock class, but they are allowed to dial these up a little bit. So, again, the horsepower in these things are definitely not stock. As you see Cody coming around sliding through the rocks. I can hear him just fluttering that throttle as he rips through that rock section.
So Cody is running a 2022 Pro XP. Cam's Motorsport built the cage for him. He's had this rig for 2 years. It's got Vision wheels. Those Mickey Thompson tires definitely helping him out on this course. .659 for Cody Cayson, and that is definitely our new leader here. This is course 1 for the Super Grip UTV stock class. We're just about a third of the way through right now. If you're new to the series, welcome. Thanks for tuning in with us. We always run 2 courses for all of our classes. So we'll run them all through course 1, and then they come right back out, and we'll put them out for course 2. And they are racing for points out here.
Again, this is Daniel Hoeckele coming out in that Can-Am. Again, you see a handful of manufacturers out here racing with us this weekend. Again, Brandon Davis, one of the guys that made our Can-Am that could famous. I think Daniel took a page out of his playbook. Coming up with those, again, those rocks are just absolutely super gnarly. That RCB rock section is just so violent.
I think one just tried to get him hung up in there, but it looks like he's still moving. Daniel is coming into the weekend 5th in points overall for the season right now, and he also had a 2nd place finish at our last race. That was at Fiddler's Bend, Oklahoma, before our midseason break. Just blasting through the water.
Oh, launching off that rock ledge.
He is not holding back at all.
Uh-oh. Sounds like
and
front
because
right.
of that,
oh no. Definitely, again, we talked this morning about ball joints and tie rods, but looks like he is already our first claimer there. Yeah, I don't know if he knows he's broke, but he's definitely going to find out very quickly.
Yeah, I think it's going to make itself apparent.
Yeah, that rock section, I don't think you could do with 3-wheel motion there. The good news is he's still able to move, so he can at least clear himself from the course. Unfortunately, not the run he was hoping for. I'm sure it broke when he landed jumping off that big rock.
We've got our first victim here.
Dang.
At Good Evening Ranch. These rocks are tough on parts.
Yeah.
Man, we hate to see that for Daniel Hoeckele.
I said it looks like the A-arm's hanging down, so I don't know if
that's Cody Cayson running up there to check things out.
Yeah, you can see that A-arm hanging down there. Dang it.
You know, that's one of the coolest things about this sport, too. We talk about it a lot, but it's always worth mentioning the camaraderie between the drivers out here and everybody involved.
Yeah.
They will never hesitate to go out and help each other out, help with their recovery, go assist if they need to fix something that's broken. I guarantee you Daniel's going to pull that Can-Am back and have a cluster of other drivers helping him out to get it back together for course 2. And they're fierce competitors, and obviously everybody wants to be the one to lay down the fastest time, but no one's going to hesitate to lend a hand to a fellow driver either. So that's one of the great things about this sport. Definitely one of the things that we love about it. All right, that brings us back to the race line starting gate with Dillon Dowler.
Getting Dillon with that iconic orange. Again, he races our stock class and our Cup Series, our Limited Cup Series, so you'll be seeing him race twice today. You can also tell just because of how iconic that orange definitely is.
Yeah, you can't miss that one.
That Double D Motorsports.
Dillon actually has already been working. Speaking of working on your stuff to get it ready to race again, this morning our drivers are allowed to pre-run if they want to before races. And sometimes that works out great. They get a good feel for the course, and sometimes they break stuff when they're pre-running and have to hustle to get it ready for race time. So Dillon had a little bit of that going on this morning. Glad to see him back in action.
Again, just making quick work to that rock garden down there. Launching off that rock. Again, it looks like it's kicking him just a little to the left. And maybe that's why Daniel came down, had a rough landing, and broke that tie rod. Or a ball joint, I mean. Again, that is definitely a high-speed section. And I love the transition there. Again, going from low speed to high speed, back to low speed. And I have a feeling there's some guys that might go a little too hot and steamy through this rock garden. But again, they want to keep it together. I know I've seen Wade Good and a handful of them down there this morning practicing, playing, doing a little pre-running.
And we just saw the tail end of it, but that's a pretty big drop-off, especially for our stock class that Dillon just went down. I know because I jumped off of it myself this morning.
Yeah, the bouncers are have a little better transition, but it still bottoms out.
Dillon Dowler comes out of Chapel Hill, Tennessee to race with us. That's Middle Tennessee. Like Matt said, he races stock and cup class. This is, I believe, his third year racing with us. And let's get that time for Dillon.
That's a 102.100 for Dillon Dowler.
Not bad, not bad. Our fastest time right now is still Cody Cayson, though, with that 94. He's hanging on to the lead. We're about halfway through course 1 for the Super Grip UTV stock class.
All right, sorry, I'll say try not to interrupt you there. We got Robert Trainer coming to that race line starting gate. Shout out to all of our course workers, helping make sure we keep our course clear, making sure everybody has their safety stuff on like they're supposed to.
Safety first, as always.
I always like the shirt where you see safety third on the like the work shirt and the guys in the factories. Again, that's a great shot. Shout out to Dearborn Drone Co. for doing such an awesome job this weekend with this awesome drone shot here. You can see how rough and violent that really is that they're ripping through.
Robert Trainer coming into the weekend second in points.
Wow.
In the stock class halfway through the season. So that's no small feat. He's had a great season so far, clearly. I don't know. It's going to be difficult to catch up to Cody with that lead that Cody's got. But still, Robert coming in with 429 right now in points.
Robert's son Ramsey Trainer will also be racing with us this weekend. I watched him do some. They were doing some practice. He was sending me Snapchats. They were out practicing a couple weeks ago.
There's that big rock. Yeah, that's right. Another fun thing, we talked about the camaraderie of the sport, but another thing that makes it special is the family aspect. We run lots of different classes here with the NRRA, from the youth class on up to the big bouncers and lots in between. So we've got a lot of families that race together, the kids and the teens in those classes, and then parents and UTV or bouncer classes. And everyone comes out, hangs out, has a blast. The kids are all playing together out here, living their best lives, racing, playing, hanging out. We call it our off-road family for a reason. It's a good time. That's a 103.355 for Robert Trainer. All right, that means we've got Justin Hoback on the line. Justin's two kiddos also race in the youth class. Speaking of the families that race together out here, always like to give Justin a shout out as well for all his help. He often helps with our safety checks on the starting line, which is a very important part of what we do out here. We don't send any drivers off the line without double checking that all safety requirements are hooked up, buckled up, everything is as it's supposed to be. So Justin usually on the line helping with that. Justin is fourth in points in our stock class coming into this weekend.
Again, that is just such a violent area going through that rock garden. I mean, you can see him just bouncing, the dust coming off all the rocks that he's scraping through there.
Yeah, Matt, who would have thought that we would be having dust in the air today after the downpour we had last night? Justin comes out of Lebanon, Tennessee to race with us and has been racing since 2014. He started out with truck pulling, and then when that kind of died off for them, he was looking for another motorsport to get into, him and his brother, and they settled here with the UTVs, and Justin's also racing a rock bouncer this season as well. He's raced just about every class with us except the youth class.
Yeah, pretty much. I know him and his brother even built a UTV, went out and raced King of Hammers. So he's done not just race with our series, but he's been a very competitive racer and a lot of different stuff. So we're super glad he's out here, does a great job, helps out with our youth program, and really just runs that, does an amazing job with it.
He's coming up to that RCV rock section now, and he's making his way through there pretty quick.
He's ripping it. Again, you see all that yellow caution tape around that tree. They have to go all the way down, go around that tree. There's cautions and banners to let you already know exactly where it's at, and then come right back. And again, that is a very rough section they're ripping through.
All right, let's get that time.
That's a 1:17.988 for Mr. Justin Hoback. That's a great run.
And we are about 2/3 of the way through course 1 for the Super Grip UTV stock class. And let's go ahead and take a minute and look through our top 5 and see how things are sitting here before we finish up course 1. All right, we've got Cody Cayson sitting in the lead with that 94.6, followed by Dillon Dowler with a 102, Robert Trainer with a 103, Bert Sevy with a 106, and Coy Chappell with a 107. They got them lined up there pretty
Heck
good,
yeah.
don't they, Matt? There's a beautiful shot there of our race area here at Good Evening Ranch. And we are ready to send Richard Hodges off the line. He's racing for Jay Stort's points today. Matt, is this the first time we've seen Richard in the UTV class?
I think so.
I think we're only used to seeing him in a bouncer usually.
Yeah. He sold his bouncer, and now he's doing some short course racing in UTVs. So I think since he lives so close, him and Justin Wills only live a few hours from here.
Yeah.
So I think him and Jay hooked up, and Jay said, hey, you want to race? And he said, sure, I'd love to come out and do some racing.
Yeah. I'm glad to have him back out here. We haven't seen him in a little bit.
You can see how massive some of those rocks are on the sides. I mean, they're literally UTV-sized rocks. So the bouncers tomorrow, I think, are going to have a lot of fun going through there. Can absolutely just thrash them through that rock garden. Again, just splashing through that puddle down there. They just need a quick cool down, that's all.
Yeah. Just like when you go through the misting, fans at the amusement park or something.
It's kind of like that, really. It really is.
Coming down that SCS slope and heading back into the woods. So far, so good. This is Richard Hodges getting those points for Jay Stort's today.
Making quick time.
And into the RCV rocks.
You can see it side by side, literally just thrashing from side to side. And these guys spend hours dialing suspensions, making sure the air pressure on the tires just right. Again, Mickey Thompson, a huge component of the sport, definitely doing a great job helping a lot of guys run. Just really making sure these machines are top tier so they can push as hard as they can. And unfortunately, you still see guys, break stuff like we've seen already this morning.
Yeah, when you're pushing hard on terrain as rough as this, sometimes breakage occurs.
Sometimes you don't win, unfortunately. That's a 126.1925. Okay. We've got a decent pack of times there. A lot of 1-0s. 102, 106, 107. I mean, again, that's a really tight race so far. Again, this is course 1. We'll be doing another course later on this afternoon. So every time we do a race, part of our 10-race cup series, we have a course in the morning, course in the afternoon. So we have 2 chances to score some points and up on the podium for the day. Again, making sure we got a course clear out there, making sure all the safety equipment's ready to go.
It looks like we've got 3 drivers left for course 1 of the Super Grip UTV stock class. And on the line, we've got Clint Garrison, and he is running for Brandon Davis's points today.
Yeah.
Brandon Davis not being here for a race weekend, it's kind of strange. When was
weird.
the last time Brandon missed a race weekend?
Bridgeport, Texas. The last time we raced at Bridgeport, Texas.
That was like 4 years ago?
About
5? I don't know. It's been a while.
4 years sounds about right.
Oh, but he's got a good stunt double filling in for him today with Clint Garrison. Clint definitely very competitive driver. I'm not sure I've seen him in what he's driving today, though.
I was just thinking the same thing.
I don't recognize this buggy.
I'm like, okay. Little single-seat Razor there.
Yeah.
He's doing very well again. You can see how massive some of those rocks are. I'm super excited tomorrow to see the bouncers go thrashing through there. Because I have a feeling we'll have some guys push it a touch too hard and end up with some breakage in there.
Oh, it's definitely a possibility.
Again, Clint trying to skeet the outside of that, just get a little less water on him, but definitely making quick time. Again, just ripping along that tree line there. Beautiful little downhill section. It is kind of sloped, though. You'll see kind of drivers turn the wheels a little bit. It is sloped just a touch. They come right back into that rock garden.
Our SCS slope.
Yes. Very sloped.
Got a nice little alliteration there.
Yeah.
Man, these guys are actually cruising through this wood section and making it look kind of easy.
Yeah. Oh, they are.
Because I was walking around in both of the woods rock garden areas this morning, and it's rough.
It is. It is. Yes. It is not gentle. That is true.
So this, we are almost halfway through our UTV stock class for today. After this, of course, we've got our UTV Cup class that we'll be running, and then it'll be time to do round 2 for everybody.
Heck yeah.
And then we'll be back tomorrow to continue all the racing action with a full day of racing and lots of classes. to 1.976 for Clint Garrison.
Checking to make sure we got a clear course here. Again, sometimes you see a flag get taken down, or camera has to reposition after a rock or a puddle goes flying through.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts here to put on an event like this. And Dean Roberts is off the line.
Blasting out of that race line starting gate. Again, yeah, dust is not something I thought I would see here today, judging by how much rain we got last night. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Got hung up there a little bit. There he goes.
Okay, he's still moving.
Sometimes when they're in the middle of that rock garden, it's hard to see if they break an axle or,
Well, when we see somebody stop like that, Matt and I cringe a little bit because we remember last year racing here at the Good Evening Ranch and all the carnage and the recoveries that we had last year. So I'm pretty pleased so far. We haven't had a single recovery. That's pretty great.
You almost need a crane just to pick them out,
Yeah, some of those are rough to get out of here.
Or a helicopter,
Dina's got a good, smooth run going right now.
And that is such a big drop off there.
That's one of those where you just have to go for it and
really
be ready to be in the gas.
Yeah. As soon as the front end starts to drop, just, stay in it. Hopefully it's a smooth landing.
Hitting up that RCV rock section. You can see up to the left of where Dean's driving right now, there's kind of a rocky cliff hill area. We're going to be utilizing all of that for our racing later on.
All of it. All of the hills. Get just thrashing through that rock section. Hear that turbo valve just popping off. That's a 109.486 for Mr. Dean Rhodes.
Not bad for Dean Roberts. And then I believe this is Cooper Bentley filling in for Cohen Ellison.
Okay. I know the Ellison crew, there's like a six-pack running around.
They got a lot of racers in the Ellison family. And it's awesome because they're all in different classes, for youth, teen, and stock.
Very cool. I think the civil rivalry there is rough.
I would say since Sadie and Cohen share this buggy right here that Cooper's in, it could be.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Don't break the buggy for me, you know. Yeah. All right, this is our last driver for course 1 for the Super Grip UTV stock class. This is Cooper Bentley filling in for Cohen Ellison.
And again, we'll see Cooper tomorrow racing in the Rock Bouncer. He's current season champion, so it's kind of cool to see him watch and jump in stock class. It's not something we typically see him in, but you get to see him a little bit tomorrow.
Up and over the race line ramp. Oh, he's cutting that corner tight. And like Matt said, you'll see all that bouncer racing action tomorrow. You can be sure to tune back in with us here on Hillside Live on Power Sports World TV. And you'll be able to catch not only the bouncers racing, but also our UTV Bounty, UTV Youth, UTV Teen classes, and our limited bouncer class as well. So when I say we've got a full day of racing ahead for us tomorrow, I'm serious about that. It'll be a good time, lots of racing action. And we're only about a quarter of the way through today's racing action.
Again, speaking of racing, Cooper is out there just flying right now.
I mean, do we expect anything less from Cooper?
In this Ellison racing machine, he is just skipping along.
Do you think that he's driving it maybe a little harder because it's a rental, or taking it a little easier because it's a rental?
I think Cooper's going to send it just as hard.
It's hard to break someone else's stuff.
It is.
But also, they say drive it like a rental for a reason, you know?
Yeah, I think Cooper, he is a very caring, very soft, very loving guy. But I think he's going to send it.
103.231. Wow. He sent it pretty well. Not enough to catch up to Cody Cayson in that top spot. Cody, with the 94, the only one to break 100 today on course 1.
And again, Skeechin right behind that 102 from Dillon Dowler. Definitely a great run. These guys all did a great job today. Actually, a lot, honestly, for the stock class, it's a lot less carnage than I thought we would see.
Really? I mean, like we talked about just a little bit ago, things can get rough real fast here at Good Evening Ranch, and we saw that last year. Wasn't really sure, how today was going to go. And, of course, we've still got a lot of racing yet to do, so we'll see how that all ends up. But let's go ahead and check out those results from Course 1 for the Super Grip UTV stock class. Cody Cayson hung on to the lead with that 94, still followed by Dillon Dowler with a 102. Cohen Ellison, which was Cooper Bentley racing for him, with a 103.2. Robert Trainer right behind him, with a 103.3. And Bert Sevy rounding out that top 5 with a 106.
And then right there, Coy Chappell coming in right behind him with a 107. Again, second separating these guys' time. Dean Roberts coming in 7th. Justin Hoback coming in 8th. Braden Davis, a stunt double, coming in 9th. And then rounding that top 10, Jay Stewart's a stunt double.
Yeah, that was Clint Garrison and Richard Hodges there, 9th and 10th. So I think these guys are pretty good at picking who they're going to have fill in for
if you're ended up in the top 10, you're doing something right there.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us for Course 1. We're going to step away for a quick break, and then we'll be right back with all of that RCB Axle UTV Cup racing action.
Mickey Thompson Premium Mud Terrain is on the road and full of undisputed attitude. The Baja Boss MT. No compromises, ever. We are purpose-built tires for truck and Jeep enthusiasts everywhere. All mud tires are not created equal, and here's the proof. Powerply XD construction, asymmetrical tread design, extreme side biters, and more. Find your tire size today at MickeyThompsonTires.com. The Mickey Thompson Premium Mud Terrain is on the road and full of undisputed attitude. The Baja Boss MT. No compromises, ever. We are purpose-built tires for truck and Jeep enthusiasts everywhere. All mud tires are not created equal, and here's the proof. Powerply XD construction, asymmetrical tread design, extreme side biters, and more. Find your tire size today at MickeyThompsonTires.com. The Mickey Thompson Premium Mud Terrain is on the road and full of undisputed attitude. The Baja Boss MT. No compromises, ever. We are purpose-built tires for truck and Jeep enthusiasts everywhere. All mud tires are not created equal, and here's the proof. Powerply XD construction, asymmetrical tread design, extreme side biters, and more. Find your tire size today at MickeyThompsonTires.com. The Mickey Thompson Premium Mud Terrain is on the road and full of undisputed attitude. The Baja Boss MT. No compromises, ever. We are purpose-built tires for truck and Jeep enthusiasts everywhere. All mud tires are not created equal, and here's the proof.
All right, everybody, and we are back. Thanks for tuning in with us for that first course of the stock class, and we are ready to move on to round one, course one of the UTV Cup class. We've got a great lineup of drivers today. I believe we've got Dustin Medley on that race line starting line to start things off with us today. Matt, can you fill us in a little bit for the Cup class? Just like we did for stock class, let the folks at home know what are the differences in the regulations here.
Yeah, again, these are Cup Series or a limited class. These guys kind of have no holds bars. They kind of get as crazy as they want. As this side-by-side that's getting ready to take off is going to show us. We do have some safety stuff, and the safety is kind of what we really focus on because we want each builder to have kind of a lot of freedom. So you can see 6-point roll cage, firewall, the chassis. We have a lot of 5-way harnesses. We have a lot of safety stuff involved, and mainly that's because we want to keep them safe. We want everybody to come out and have a good time, have a blast. And so we do have a lot of safety requirements as far as like tire size and engine size. Those are all pretty open. We let guys get pretty wild with it. Again, you'll see a handful of these guys that look pretty wild and are going to send it really, really hard today. So the rocks, I'm pretty excited to watch these guys kind of just bounce through the rocks compared to the stock class. We got Robert Traynor sitting in that race line starting gate. Okay, you actually got to see him race in our stock class.
That's right, double duty today.
Looks like
all
Nathaniel
right, I think this
Bell.
is actually Nathaniel Bell out on the course. Unless they pulled an old switcheroo on us with the buggies, this is Nathaniel Bell.
That's a TC-built chassis out there that he picked up a few years ago and literally took all the way to a championship. So definitely a rock star driver, and this guy can get out there and thrash. He does a lot of pre-running with us, too. A lot of times me and my dad will be down at the hill checking it out, and Robert will be down there, or Nathaniel Bell will be down there beating on stuff and kind of rolling into jumps to see how hard do you need to jump that.
Well, he knows how to push the limits, too, because Nathaniel is actually leading in points in our UTV Bounty class.
Heck yeah.
And came in second in Bounty at our last race in Oklahoma. So we're definitely used to – he's no stranger to being on the podium and putting down some fast points in Bounty. We're going to see how he can handle Course 1 in Cup class right now. He's moving pretty fast.
He is flying through there. And, again, some of these lines are going to change from Course 1 to Course 2. So seeing these guys come out there and thrash through is just incredible.
All right, looks like he's about to blast through this RCV rock section.
You can see how rough that section is. And again, it's not really extreme. It's just there's lots of little rocks that I'm going to say are like basketball size-ish. So you're kind of bouncing all over them and through them. And you want to go as fast as you can, but at the same time, you really want to keep that buggy together. That's a 100.518 from Mr. Nathaniel Bell. All right, we got Dustin Medley sitting at that race line starting gate. Again, this thing is dialed up to 400 horsepower, and he says it's capable of doing 6.
You think that's enough?
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Is there ever enough horsepower?
Yeah,
I don't know. That's a tricky question.
I feel like Gold Rush is the max there. I feel like, no, a great job. They brought this out. This is an all-wheel steer. It's always unique to see a guy who tries that on a UTV. That's something very unique to
Definitely.
UTVs, to see all-wheel steer. And he uses it. He absolutely uses that to his advantage. You'll see him kind of whipping that around. It's gotten more and more comfortable driving it this season. We kind of saw it unveil at Windrock earlier this at our season opener. But it looks like he's ready. And again, because it's that, Polaris 4-cylinder, it sounds like, a Honda or a Toyota out there on the track. Kind of that import life.
Sounds like some of the cars that go ripping down my street at like 2 a.m.
It's true. It's so true. And again, he is no stranger to just ripping this thing.
No, he knows how to make it work for him. Dustin had a 4th place finish in our Cup class at our last event at Fiddler's Bend, Oklahoma.
Just whipping around that corner.
And Dustin even took quite a break. He didn't race for over 10 years, he says, and then came back with this new chassis and has been racing with us this season. So fun to have him back out here, hitting the hills, hitting the courses with us again, and he's doing an awesome job with it.
I got to watch him in our last race at Fiddler's Bend come out and do some playing on pre-running the night before. He was just having a blast. I feel like he definitely really enjoys driving this car.
I think Dustin's origin story as far as racing is pretty much like a lot of the guys out here. He says he got into riding anything with wheels at a young age, started racing dirt bikes when he was 16, and that evolved into racing a few side-by-sides when those started to come around and led him to being here today where he is racing. So it's a pretty familiar story, I would say. Oh, that sounded rough. If we can hear it from the booth with our headsets on.
Yeah.
That was a loud crack.
Wow.
100.788 for Dustin Medley. Guys, we had a 100.5 from Nathaniel Bell and a 100.7 from Dustin Medley. They are tightening up these times out here today, but really, it's not anything that is uncommon out here. These guys consistently manage to just split seconds between their times out here, and I don't know how they do it, but
0.2 of a second.
It is fun to watch.
On a 100-second course, they're separated by 0.2 of a second. That is incredible. And again, I don't know what made that cracking sound either.
I don't know.
Caught the edge of a tree or clipped a rock, but man.
But he made it through the finish line.
He did, and it looked like everything, all the wheels were still turning. It looked like it was still functioning, so I'm not sure what he clipped, but I'm sure we'll find out on our break.
All right, that brings us to some bright orange. We can't miss that. We got Dillon Dowler back on the line. I'm sure you guys, if you joined us for our stock class just a little while ago, Course 1, Dillon also raced stock, and now he's back for our RCV Actual UTV Cup, Course 1. Dillon is coming into this weekend 4th in points in the Cup class with 398. So he's had a good solid season, first half of the season so far.
And again, that super iconic orange, you can definitely stand out. So the King family always has very bright colors. Dillon kind of following in their suit there. That Double D Motorsports is definitely a staple at every one of our races for the National Rock Racing Association.
I've got a fun fact about Dillon, too. A lot of people probably don't know that he played golf for all 4 years in high school and almost went to college to play. And I believe it Because I've been to Top Golf with Dillon before,
Yeah.
and man, he could sling that. I could definitely not hit the golf ball very well. So
You're not hitting the
no.
PGA
You
Tour
know, I
anytime
grew up
soon?
playing sports, Matt.
Yes.
So
Yes. We get a bucket of balls and we get a cooler, and when one of those two is empty, we go home. So,
hey, there's all kinds of ways to do it. I'm sure we've got some awesome golfers.
I'm sure
tuning into the show with us right now.
I can see Dillon. Dillon is very technical. You can see his rigs are very, very colorful, very sharp. He obviously is a heck of a driver, so I can see him being meticulous enough to be very good at golf.
Dillon would like to give a shout-out to Moto Joe's, Performance Side-by-Side Bushings, PDI Drive Shafts, Fisher ATV Rentals, and all of his family and friends that support his race program.
I know his dad's out a lot of times cheering him on, coming to the races, helping him get him squared away. When you're jockeying around 2 race cars in a weekend, I'm sure
that's a lot. Plus when you're adding in repairs.
Yeah. I'm sure that's a whole nother level.
Dillon's got a great run going here. Let's check that time.
That was a 97.419 for Mr. Dillon Dowler.
And that means Dillon is our current leader for Course 1 of the RCB Axle UTV Cup class. But we've still got quite a list of drivers here to go. So our fastest time, and it looks like the courses are the same from stock for stock and cup. So we just watched the stock class run, and our fastest time was a 94 from Cody Cayson. And now we're in our cup class. What do you think we're going to see for our fastest time here in the cup class, Matt? You got any guesses?
Yeah, that 97 from Dillon Dowler, that is a fast time. But I know we have 2 or 3 guys that are definitely going to chip away.
I mean, Cody had a 94 in a stock rig.
Yeah, I'm going to say low 90s. I don't know if we're going to break into that 80-ish. But
yeah, that'd be a fast run.
That'd be a fast run.
Which is hard to do when you have 2 rock gardens to go through.
It really is. So I'm going to say, I'll play it safe. I'm going to say we're going to be the light. We've seen 94. I'm going to say like 92, 91-ish.
Okay.
Somewhere in that low 90s.
All right. I'm going to go with 93 something.
Well, you think we'll break in the 80s?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
But we'll all find out together here. Cooper Bentley out on the course now. Cooper just raced the stock class as well with us. So these drivers that are doing double duty today, they're really getting familiar with this course.
And again, Cooper racing, we talked about he's racing our bouncer class tomorrow. So again, the course from the UTV Cup Series is going to be pretty similar to bouncer. So he's getting a little seat time for tomorrow as well. And he's pretty lethal with that big blue machine. I know Cooper, again, leading our points championship series in the bouncer class. So
up and over the race line ramp.
A little bit of a donkey kick there coming off that back.
A little bit. As always, these obstacles, they don't look like as much on camera. If you've never been to a race like this in person, you're just going to have to take our word for it. The rocks are bigger, the hills are steeper than it looks on your TV right now. So these guys, they always seem to come out and make it look a little bit easy.
They do. Like, they're kind of jerks that way, you know?
Like, come on, guys.
You're like,
this is, make it look like the challenge that it is.
Like, there's times they literally make it look just easy almost. And I'm like, that's a really hard hill.
Cooper Bentley comes out of Shelby, Alabama to race with us. He started racing with us in 2021 at Hawk Pride in Alabama. Started off trail riding and got into what we call hill killing.
He is just thrashing through there.
Ooh.
Wow.
92.107. Matt, you got that one. You got your 92.
Yeah, I don't know. With him on a 92, we might
Maybe we will. I don't know.
I don't know. That's
we'll see.
It's always funny because we can speculate on what we think they'll do, and then sometimes they just blow us out of the water, you know?
We've still got some very capable drivers on the list here. Looks like we just had somebody pull off.
Yeah? Not sure.
I think that was Landon K, but we'll find out.
Yeah, they were saying on the radio he's going to have some overheating issues. He'll pull off, probably let it cool down, and hop right back in the lineup. Again, when you have a giant rock on both sides, 20 feet tall, not a lot of air movement back there. All right, here we have Casey Howell sitting in that race line starting gate. Again, appreciate our course workers out there, making sure we keep all the traffic flowing and keep everybody safe. Looks like they're getting some other rigs staged behind them.
All right, here we go with Casey Howell. Casey coming into the weekend 5th in points with 369. Not a bad place to be halfway through the season.
No, and Casey does very well on rocks. He'll really enjoy that. Again, the sun's kind of gone a little bit behind the clouds, so you can get a little better view of how gnarly that rock section is there. Woo, little riding a wheelie into that puddle. That is absolutely
Getting
incredible.
After it.
Getting a shout out to Dearborn Drone Co. for giving us this awesome drone footage this weekend. Casey coming right back into that vicious rock garden down there. Again, just gnarly rocks, just thrashing through there. Then ends with this giant drop-off. He is flying, but I don't know if he's going to be fast enough to beat Cooper. I mean, that 92 was insane.
That's going to be tough to beat. Although it looks like they're kind of getting a nice little path worn in through the rock garden as much as is possible in there. That definitely doesn't hurt anything. Ooh.
That's a 92.981. Is that fast enough?
No, Cooper Bentley still hanging on to the lead just barely with that 92.1. Now followed by Casey Howell with a 92.9.
Again, fractions of a second separating these guys. That's when they're actually just going full tilt. They're wide open pretty much. To be separating fractions of a second. Oh, there's a handful of guys still on that list. I think they're still going to try to slight that time just a touch. But again, those two guys were flying through this. Again, right here, this nice straightaway section next to us, next to our race line starting gate. We can kind of get an idea of how fast they're coming through there to kind of gauge how fast they are. But again, just very, very. You can kind of gauge from there. But the rock sections have a little bit, but you can kind of gauge from that how fast they're what kind of time they're going to set. But definitely a very, very quick time. 92.1 and 92.9.
That's impressive for sure.
Looks like we're getting our course clear. Making sure our safety workers are all in place. Recovery guys out there. We appreciate all of our media people as well. I know we have people behind the screen today in the booth making it happen, as well as some of our camera guys and camera ladies on course.
Yeah, it takes a village to put on a race like this, a production like this. So we always want to give a big shout out and thank you to everybody that helps from, like Matt said, our camera and media folks and everyone in the broadcast booth, out to our recovery staff and volunteers, making sure everything stays safe and smooth out on the course, and everybody in between. We are definitely grateful. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at our top 5. And see how things are standing right now. We've got Cooper Bentley in the lead right now. You guys just ignore those pictures. It just looks like Dillon Dowler is filling in for everybody on their headshots today. But Cooper Bentley with a 92.1, followed by Casey Howell with a 92.9. Wow. And then Dillon Dowler, whose face you see there, at 97.4. And then that 4th place is Nathaniel Bell with a 100.5. Dustin Medley with a 100.7.
Yeah,
tight times today. All right, we are ready to send Jesse Riley off the line.
Let's go, Jesse.
All right, clock is hot. Coming ripping out of that race line starting gate.
And Jesse Riley started racing with us this season. We had a handful of drivers start with us new this season, and he's been having a great year so far. Been fun to have him, or being able to watch him laying down some good smooth runs.
Can watch him just thrash it through that rock guard.
He calls his race program Ruthless Racing.
Ruthless Racing.
So he's out here, he's in it to win it.
Heck yeah.
I mean, everybody is. Making the race line ramp look pretty smooth.
Yeah, there's a nice kind of groove. You talk about getting a groove worn in. Around that corner, there is a nice little groove getting worn in out there.
This looks like a really fun track to me. You know, I like the short course style of racing, Matt, so this makes me want to go find a rental to jump in, take a little hot lap around.
It does. You like the short course. Does the short course like you?
Usually.
Allegedly.
Sometimes.
Allegedly.
It's a love-hate relationship.
It is.
Let's just say that.
Sometimes you're just tougher than the machine, you know?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of those guys in our stock class today be tougher than the machine.
Yep. Hey, you know, it happens. Sometimes something just got to give.
Yeah.
Sometimes one might break a wheel off on the course.
Yeah,
You know.
Or it passes you.
May or may not have done that before. So, minor details.
Trying to see if he got hung up there. It looks like he was just trying to make that turn. Again, you can see all that yellow tape wrapped around that tree. That's the tree they have to turn around. There's a banner hooked onto it and a bunch of caution tape. That way it's very easily visible when you're kind of getting bounced around through that buggy.
I think he's having just a little trouble keeping up the smooth momentum in all the rocks and trees, which is, not unexpected in a course like this. With a 138.109, Jesse Riley made it through.
It looks like a back rear might be flat.
This part can definitely be hard on tires.
Yeah. Looks like we got Matt Myrick sitting in that race line starting gate. Again, I know I seen Matt come by. We had a couple guys that staggered up in there. We try to keep a couple of our drivers kind of ready to go because, A, it's nice in case you have some quick runs, or B, that way it gives them a little less stress trying to get everybody lined up and squared away for production.
Yeah, we've talked about the safety requirements, and a big part of that is what the driver wears and is buckled into in the vehicle, so that can take a little time. Our drivers all wear a fire suit, Hans device, full-face helmet, 5-point harness. We've got fire suppression systems. What else, Matt? I mean, that's all just on the driver and in the vehicle. So you can imagine trying to get just buckled in and strapped in and all of that. It could take a little time. And
it takes a long time sometimes, especially on a hot day when you're trying to get stuff stuck to you and, get
that's
all wiggled
the
in there.
A fire suit on a hot day.
And I know we have the Hans device talked about. There's the company Hans and there's the company Simpson. Simpson actually bought Hans, and they set the prices all the same. So that way, if you want a Hans, which is kind of like the neck pillow you see some guys wear, and then there's the Simpson Hybrid, which is more of the backpack style. That's kind of what I prefer.
Straps around your shoulders.
And so it's little different styles, but they set the same price. That way, there's not some people think, well, if this is more expensive, so it might be safer. But
gotcha.
Same safety equivalent.
Neck protection definitely important when you're bobbling through rocks and things like this.
Today, you can definitely see why. Again, this is Matt coming out there. He's representing Busted Knuckle Films. You guys might have watched that on YouTube before.
Yeah, and if you haven't, be sure to go check it out. That's Busted Knuckle Films. You can find all kinds of awesome content. Matt's been in the off-road filming game for years now. So lots of really great stuff on there. Y'all go check him out. And Matt comes out of Coleman, Alabama to race with us. He calls this vehicle Knucklehead. It's new for this season, a big turbo hydro chassis done up in his favorite colors. Oh, it's a big air off the race line ramp.
Launching off that thing.
Matt's been racing since 2016. That's when he got a chance to step out from behind the camera and hop into a UTV and get behind the wheel instead and experience what the drivers that he's so used to filming do firsthand. And he's been doing an awesome job with it. He's actually coming into this weekend third in points for the RCV Axle UTV Cup class with 400 points. And he had a third-place finish at our last race at Fiddler's Bend, Oklahoma. So real solid season so far for Matt Myrick.
I was super happy to see him on the podium. And then the next day he said, you know what, I feel pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and race Bounty. So he's like, yeah,
That's right.
Very, very cool to see. Matt's got to do some pretty wild stuff in off-road vehicles for. He has a 4-seater full buggy that he trail rides with, and it's got cup holders and dome lights, and it's got like every option you could imagine on a buggy. I'm a little jelly. It's pretty cool.
That's the way to trail ride.
He is getting it right now. That's a 108.060 from Matt Myrick.
Not bad, not bad. I believe that's a 4th place time right now. We've got just 4 drivers left to wrap up course 1 for the RCV Axle UTV Cup class. 4 or 5. With Coy Chappell on the line now. All right, Coy Chappell is leading in points coming into the weekend with 479 points, a solid 34-point lead over Cooper Bentley. Clay took the win at our last event at Fiddler's Bend in Oklahoma. Clay and his brother Cody are also our featured drivers today for Featured Driver Friday.
Clay and his brother Cody also have been on the podium together this season, and that was super awesome to see those guys, both win their respective classes. And one of the coolest photos was their dad hopped up in the middle, and they got to take a picture with them all standing on that number 1 spot. And again, as a parent who helps you haul stuff and work on stuff and listen to you guys tuning engines at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sure it was super nice to see him with both of his sons on that first place podium. Very, very neat. Again, Clay is absolutely getting it right now. I feel like our puddle is starting to dry out pretty quick.
So the time to beat right now is a 92.1 from Cooper Bentley. If anyone can do it, my money's on Clay.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he can come up with here.
He had like a couple of really rough races last year in the middle of the race, and he's like, after that, I'm going to send to every race, and did flawless. Just smoked everything the rest of the season. Again, I love that purple and white is just really, really sharp buggy.
Clay is also repping a brand new fire suit, rad fire suit, matching those purple and white colors this weekend. See if it helps him drive better.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey, look good, drive good, right?
Hey, I'm with you. I'm with you.
That's my motto anyway.
Yes. Look good, drive good, feel good.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Clay.
There must be some ruts starting to form around that tree.
Yeah, the guys are slowing down a little bit on that turn.
We've seen a few guys have some issue that. Getting the FPV just flying through there.
Let's see that time.
Wow.
97.852. Definitely a very solid time, but not enough to break into the top 3 right now. That's a 4th place time from Coy Chappell, but still definitely a solid run.
Yeah, he was absolute just flying and still came in 4th.
I think maybe that last bit of the RC rock section and then that turn in the rock garden might have played into that a little bit, but it's a long course, so it's hard to know. Yeah,
and again, like I said, be that fast and still end up with a 4th place time shows you how fast those top 3 guys are absolutely just moving. But again, this is course 1 for them. They do have another course later on this afternoon. They'll get a chance to make up, hopefully end up on the podium.
Anything can happen. We've got Braden Upchurch sitting on the race line starting gate.
And again, he has a new chassis this year as well. Very cool. That Sunbeam, that iconic Sunbeam bread wrap on there for my Talladega Night fans.
Braden, part of that Rock Life off-road racing team.
All right, clock is hot. Here we go. I really like this chassis. It's a little wider where his head is at. A lot of them you kind of see more of like a triangle. Mm-hmm. This is a little bit wider at the top, which I kind of like. Gives you a little more headroom. Gives you a little more clearance if you do start kind of banging around in there. I like it more of a rectangle than more of an oval, like some of them we've seen.
Yeah, Nathaniel Bell built this chassis for him. We saw Nathaniel race earlier. Braden comes out of Monticello, Kentucky to race with us. This is his 3rd year racing with us in the UTV class. You guys can follow his race program at Upchurch Racing on Facebook. He'd like to give a shout out to his mom and dad, Rock Life Off-Road, Super Grip Tires, L&W Fab, Performance Side-by-Side Bushing, and Keaton Farms for supporting his race program.
Yeah, I know his mom and dad. I see them in a lot of races. They'll sometimes bring some snacky snacks up to the booth for us. They help take care of us in the broadcasting booth.
Hey, we don't turn down snacky snacks.
We don't. We appreciate that.
We're no fools.
He is flying through there. Again, you can see him coming down off that big ledge. Just shows how monstrous that thing is.
All right, come on, Braden. He's got a good, smooth run going right now.
Braden also one of our younger drivers, too.
Yeah, we've got a handful of guys in that late teen to 20 range.
Late teen, early 20s. They usually have no problem sending it. They don't feel it as much the next guy. You're like, oh, yeah.
111.597 for Braden Upchurch. That means we've got Jesse Phillips on the line now. All right, Jesse Phillips and wasted wages, although I like to call that buggy well-spent wages.
Yes, yes.
Racing's always a good thing to spend your money on, right? This is Jesse's 1st year racing with us. He says he's always been a mechanic on the race buggies and figured he'd finally give it a go in the driver's seat. Glad to see him out here joining in the fun with us this season.
And he's making quick work of that rock garden down there.
Jesse comes out of Cadiz, Kentucky. I believe that's how you pronounce that, to race with us. Got a lot of drivers that come out of Kentucky, the Kentucky and Tennessee area.
Yeah, I was going to say that same thing. Kentucky and Tennessee area's got packed full of bouncer guys.
And we spoke about Dillon Dowler, a fun fact of him being a golfer earlier. Turns out Jesse has also done some golfing before. One of his fun facts. Used to be a golfer, now he's a racer.
I feel if we take all of us, including Jesse, to Top Golf, I have a feeling we would all be kicked out pretty quickly.
Probably not wrong.
We would be pretty ornery. Again, you see how big that drop-off is there. Bouncers will have a little less trouble with it than some of the side-by-sides, but our stock and our Cup UTV are both coming down that zen. Again, just such a monstrous ledge. Again, we need one of those, like the rearview mirror. Objects may appear larger than, closer than they are, definitely. These hills are definitely steeper than they look on camera, I promise.
Definitely. You'll just have to take our word for it.
Everybody back home is always like, oh, I could climb that in my Cherokee.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, no way. Timmy Cameron has rolled on these hills, okay?
This is true.
Megan's with that finish
line.
All
right. Let's check the time.
111.644. Literally
what on earth?
A tenth faster than the time, or a tenth slower than the time right before him.
We just had a 111.5 from Braden Upchurch, and now a 111.6 from Jesse Phillips. 2 in a row. How does that happen?
That is crazy. I feel like they watched the guy in front of him like, I can do that. I can do that.
He did it all right. All right. This is Wade Good, I believe.
Yeah. Make sure our cameramen and camera ladies are all in a good spot there. Doing our safety checks, making sure our course is clear.
That's Kenneth Cozy and you guys just saw running up there to help out his buddy Wade on the line. I think we're going to be seeing Kenneth in the bouncer class tomorrow. Has he got the bouncer out here?
I believe so. I know they have the big trailer. Kenneth has like a massive 48-foot trailer that him and Wade put both buggies in and haul the races. I'm sure this is a pretty good drive for those guys. They drive together, so they're both pretty ornery guys when they hang out together.
All right, this is Wade Good filling in for Ethan Hunt today. We have not seen Wade race UTV. How many seasons has it been now? He started out in the UTV class, moved up to bouncer a few years ago. Oh, that was risky. Took a little bit of a break.
Yep.
Came back into the bouncers this season with us. So it's been a while since I've seen him race a UTV anyway. So
probably at least 2 or 3 years, probably.
I'm sure it's like riding a bike.
Yeah, I think Wade will do just fine.
I don't think we've got anything to worry about with Wade behind the wheel.
I like that drone shot there. You can see him literally just never lifting as he's ripping around that corner. Yeah, he's a guy I wouldn't mind loaning my stuff to, as long as I had the switch to see how fast he goes, because he can absolutely just rip it full tilt. Just thrashing through that rock garden. Again, coming around that corner.
Oh, sideways.
I don't know, Bree. He might be faster than 92.
It's going to be close, unless he's got any bobbles in here in the rock garden.
Yeah.
He's got a really fast run going right now.
He was flying by us.
You guys can find out more about his race program at All Good Racing, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Come on, Wade, get through that finish line.
He is flying. Wow.
What was it?
That's what I thought.
I heard 91.167.
I was pretty sure I heard 91. And
we were double checking
dang.
the time. We didn't quite hear it there. 91.167. Wow. Way to finish up course one.
Yeah,
Wade Good with the fastest time.
Again, he came by us just sliding sideways, and I was like, that's got to be a fast time. Again, Cooper Bentley there walking over to congratulate him.
Cooper come on, man.
Checking out the buggy there.
All right. Let's take a look at our top 10 from course one. That was Wade Good filling in for Ethan Hunt with that 91.1. Then Cooper Bentley with a 92.1. Casey Howell with a 92.9. Dillon Dowler with a 97. Cayson also following with a 97.
And again, Nathaniel Bell wrapping up that 6th spot with a 100.5, 100.7. Dustin Medley right behind it. Matt Myrick coming up right behind him. 9th place, Braden Upchurch. Wrapping out that top 10, Jesse Phillips. Again, awesome time.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching Course 1 of the RCV Axle UTV Cup with us here on Power Sports World TV. We're going to take a quick break, and on the other side, we'll be back to run Course 2 with everybody, so don't go far.
These UTV guys have been pushing the limits for years, and we are keeping up.
Welcome back, guys. We have completed course 1 for our UTV stock and cup classes. That means we need to take a real quick break and get things set up for course 2. While we do that, we want you guys to be able to check out some of the other things that Power Sports World TV has to offer. So with that, y'all check out this video. We'll be back in just about 10 minutes.
Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm answering some questions about four-wheel drive on your side-by-side, your ATV. I'm going to talk to you about how to use your four-wheel drive, when to use your four-wheel drive, and when not to use your four-wheel drive. Now, I know a lot of this seems like common sense, especially for a lot of you guys who have been doing this forever. You know, you're avid off-roaders, but we get a lot of new people into this sport, and they just aren't sure how to do all of this right out of the gate, because this is kind of like a overview of four-wheel drive. It's not a one-size-fits-all, because every machine is different that's out there. So you kind of got to take this and use it in conjunction with the machine that you have. You might have a machine that doesn't have diff lock, it doesn't have turf mode, but the machine I'm going to be covering here today and covering the four-wheel drive with is the 2025 RMAX 4 1000, and this is a new vehicle that Yamaha just came out with. As a matter of fact, this year for the first time ever, Yamaha has introduced turf mode. Now, I know a lot of you diehard Yamaha guys have been screaming about turf mode for years. It is really nice to have, and for those of you that aren't familiar with turf mode, it's a mode where you can actually take your rear end, both your drive wheels, and turn it into one drive wheel. So you can take, it's typically the right-hand side that engages whenever you're in turf mode. And what that does is keep the left side from engaging. So when you go to make a tight turn, you don't get both tires biting and really tearing everything up. And if you're working on grass, or you're on some very sensitive terrain, or you just don't want to tear the terrain up, the turf mode is great. One thing about turf mode, though, is a lot of guys start using it instead of like the posi traction rear end, because they feel it's better for the turf and also better for their machine. It's not much wear and tear on the diff on the rear. And actually what's going to happen is you're going to start to wear out your traction tire, and then your other tire, your non-traction tire for your turf mode, is going to be having way more tread than your traction tire when you're in turf mode. I know that's a lot to take in, but just look at it this way. When you have it in turf mode, there is only one tire in the back that's getting traction. That's it. So when you have it in two-wheel drive, both your back tires are getting traction. So that's posi traction in the rear. And then when you put it in four-wheel drive, you're going to have all four tires pulling. Now there's different four-wheel drive systems and different units. You know, there's everything from a Honda to a Polaris to a Can-Am to a Yamaha. They're all different. The one thing about the Yamaha, when you put the Yamaha in diff lock, all four tires are pulling. That thing is like a mountain goat. What that does is that gives you a little bit of a struggle to make turns when you're in diff lock. So that's more of a straight line option. You don't really want to have it in diff lock mode and try and make a lot of turns. So it's just really, really hard to turn. So a lot of your machines out there don't have that. You know, Can-Am has the smart lock. It's very similar, but you still have to get like a half a rotation on a tire in order for it to kick in. So different versions, different modes on different units, but the Yamaha is a straight up diff lock, all four tires pulling. One thing about four-wheel drive, and something I want to cover with y'all, is when to use it. When you are on a trail system and you look ahead and you see something coming, and maybe you think, oh, you know what, I might need four-wheel drive for that. I know a lot of owner's manuals say you need to stop, put it in four-wheel drive, and then you can go. But one way around that, and the reason why they tell you that, is because a lot of people might stay on the gas. Or if you're in a mud hole and you're just hammered down and you're two-wheel drive, you're stuck, and then you throw it in four-wheel drive, a lot of four-wheel drive systems won't engage, but if they do, man, you're going to shock the drive line and you can blow some stuff apart. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of manufacturers tell you, just stop, put it in four-wheel drive, because there's a lot of inexperienced people out there and they don't realize that once you're in it, you can't throw it in four-wheel drive. So let's say you're going up a really steep hill and you realize halfway up that hill, you should have put it in four-wheel drive. Now, unfortunately, you're going to have to stop and you're going to put it in four-wheel drive. When you're climbing a really steep hill, you can put it in four-wheel drive low and you can just crawl right up that thing. And I know a lot of people, they think that speed is the answer when they're climbing hills. And I can tell you right now, the internet and social media is full of videos where guys just basically whiskey throttle and hammer down and they're just trying to climb this hill. There's a certain point where you exceed your momentum to traction rate, because if you have way too much throttle, you're not going to get any traction. You're just going to smoke the tires off and you're not going to get anywhere. The finesse is to have just enough momentum that you aren't spinning the tires, that you get 100% traction. And if you have to, you can always let the air out of your tires so you can get up and down some major obstacles. And that's another thing, that once you start getting into four-wheeling and you get out there on the trail, you're going to figure out, okay, you know, I need to let some air out to do these trails today. Maybe it's snow, maybe it's mud. So that's another thing that's going to help you out too. If you're climbing a steep hill and you let some air out of the tires and you are in four-wheel drive low, there you can see how this just goes down a rabbit hole, and it's one thing after another after another. And this is one of the reasons why I get a lot of questions from guys saying, hey, listen, I just don't quite understand this four-wheel drive thing. When should I be in two-wheel drive? When should I be in four-wheel drive? And basically the bottom line is, if I'm cruising on a trail system and it's nice and flat and it's hard packed, you know, I'm in two-wheel drive. If I'm going to be climbing a steep hill, especially if I'm riding in a group and there's people behind me, I'll put it in four-wheel drive so I don't have the back tires just digging and I'm launching rocks and dust and everything else back at everybody behind me. It's a part of that too, is not only making it up the steep hill, but it's also respecting everybody behind you that may not have waited until you were at the top of the hill. They just followed you right up that hill and you've got everything flying back on them. So that's another thing too, is, you know, respect for the riders behind you. You don't want to be slinging rocks and stuff all over them. When you're climbing a hill and you're into it, you're committed, you can't throw it in four-wheel drive once you're into it. Once you're in that mud hole and you're committed and you are hammered down, you can't put it in four-wheel drive. You have to stop and put it in four-wheel drive. And anytime I put it in four-wheel low, I stop in order to get it to engage. And that is one of those things that you just can't be rolling along at 30 mile an hour and throw it in four-wheel drive low. So there's a lot of variables to this, but basically here's the bottom line in a nutshell. When you are in a situation when you're on hard pack or you're cruising along on maybe nothing elevated, you're just cruising along out on the trail, two-wheel drive is fine. Now, when you start to get to water crossings, mud crossings, climbing steep hills, four-wheel drive, now then you want to maybe consider four-wheel drive low if it's really steep, soupy, thick mud, or maybe it's a really steep hill climb with some off camber or some rocks. Four-wheel drive low, your machine is like a mountain goat. And remember, don't give it so much throttle that you just spin the tires and you don't get the momentum and traction that you need. The whole, oh, gas it, you'll get there, that doesn't always work. And you learn that as you off-road, and everybody has a different method. There's going to be all kind of guys that watch this say, well, that's not how I do it. And that's fine. There's more than one way to skin the cat. But I just like to get to the top of the hill without busting all my stuff up or rolling back down over. So for me, traction is key. I like to know that that machine's going to get to the top. And for me, low and slow is the key. I like to keep it in low four-wheel drive and just creepy crawl my way up that hill or mountain or whatever it is. And I let the machine do the work. It's amazing how well these machines work if you just let them do their thing. But whenever you're gassing it so hard that they can't do their thing, nothing good is going to come out of that.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Course 1 of our Super Grip UTV Stock and RCV Axle UTV Cup classes. That means we are set up and ready to go for Course 2 now. We are going to go once again with the stock class to start with. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a quick rundown of our top 5 from Course 1, just a little refresher. Cody Cayson had the fastest time with a 94, followed by Dillon Dowler with a 102. Then we had Cooper Bentley with a 103.2, and then Robert Trainer with a 103.3, and Bert Sevy with a 106 to round out the top 5. So some awesome racing so far from all of our UTV drivers today. Matt, what do you think so far?
Again, when you look at those times of the Unlimited Cup class compared to the stock class, they're not that far
They're
off.
not.
I mean, those guys in the stock rigs are pushing it super hard. We got these really rough rocks. We have a high-speed section, and they really are out there ripping it. Now, again, I'm interested to see what the second course is going to be. I think we might see everybody pick up a little bit here just because they know the course, they know where to turn. I think they're going to push it just a little bit harder.
All right, and Robert Trainer is going to start things off for us here. This is Course 2 for the Super Grip UTV stock class. Robert had a 4th place finish on Course 1, very solid. He also had a 4th place finish overall at our last race at Fiddler's Bend, Oklahoma.
Heck yeah.
And he's coming into the weekend second in points with 429. So we'll see what he can add on to that number after today, after right now.
Yeah. Definitely thrashing through those rocks, making quick work of them. Again, that rock garden has a lot of treacherous spots in there. Can break some parts or, slice a tire. Just launching off that ramp.
So far today, we've had a pretty limited amount of carnage and breakage out here on the course. Well, probably that's not going to be the case tomorrow.
Yeah, I say bouncers are durable, but when you throw that race word in there, things can get broken pretty quickly. Especially on the course. They'll be going down the course that's a little bit gnarlier than the UTV is.
Yeah, we're going to be hitting this hillside tomorrow, sending them up some steep stuff, so it's going to be a good time. Y'all be sure to tune in for that. Thanks for joining us here on Hillside Live. Whether you've been watching with us for years now or this is your first ever race, we're glad to have you here watching with the National Rock Racing Association. This is our UTV stock class, and we're racing Cup today as well, and then we've got 5 other classes to race tomorrow, including the big old rock bouncers. You can find all that right here on Power Sports World. Come on, Robert Trainer, so close.
He is making quick work through there. That's a 97.399. Had a 103 in his first, so definitely was able to shave some time off that.
That is not a bad time at all, considering Cody Cayson's fastest time on Course 1 was a 94.
Yeah, again, like I said, I think we'll see everybody pick up just a little bit of time. Our puddle has slowly drenched down.
The puddle is getting smaller.
Yes.
Everybody has had a lap, at least one lap, if not 2, if they're double dutying on the classes today, around this course and are getting a feel for it.
And again, if nothing else, we just spread the water on each rig evenly. I think it's slowly working its way out.
There was some discussion in the drivers' meeting about what to do about that puddle. It was pretty sizable puddle at the beginning, and it was suggested to go get some totes or some buckets and start bailing it out. And then Wade said, well, how about we just all agree to go slow through the puddle?
Yes. I think that would be okay until the first guy went a little less than slow. Then after that, it's everybody's scripting.
I don't know if that would have even been possible for most of these guys to go slow out there.
I think they would just break through it. They'd be like hitting the brakes and just riding endo through it. Getting some rig stage here.
Skimming across the puddle was also suggested.
Oh, yeah. Got Justin Hoback sitting in that race line starting gate. All right. Got that 3-2-1 countdown. You can hear some pebbles hitting the trailers. They come zinging by. Again, you can see how gnarly some of these rocks are.
I think one of them's got him hung up pretty good right now. Good thing he's got that light bar so we can see
Yeah.
him there in the dust in the woods. There's a good
I'm not
shot
sure
for
what
us.
happened. It looks like he shut it off and turned it back on. So I don't know if
Ah.
it went into safety mode or it died or what the deal was. But I saw the light bar and the taillights go off, and then it came back on. And he took right off again, so I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Justin's a pretty fierce competitor. He doesn't mind getting in there and going hard on it.
We'll also see Justin in the bouncer class tomorrow, racing Showstopper 2.0 in the limited bouncer class. All right, he's coming up to the race line ramp.
Got that sharp Hoback racing wrap on the side. Mimicked on his kids' rig. Clara and Collier.
That's right. We'll see them racing in the youth class tomorrow.
Uh-oh. Sounds like he's in a left rear flat.
Can it hang on for 2 more rock gardens? It's going to be rough.
Again, you can see how many rocks are actually in that thing. It's just so brutal. Again, you can see how straight vertical he goes when he's trying to come down that ledge.
All right, he's got the RCV rock section to deal with now.
Again, you can definitely see the groove that's getting worn in there. All that black dirt getting exposed from all the drivers coming through. Again, it looks like most of the stock class has chose that same kind of line. It's getting worn in pretty good. But
Hey, if it ain't broke.
yeah, and there's so many big rocks there, you kind of just navigate them at speed the best
You
you
only
can.
have so many options.
Yeah, true.
And that's a 151.520 for Justin Hoback, managing to finish the course even with that flat tire,
Yeah.
which is not an easy feat in a rough course like this.
He is still covered in mud as well as that whole shield. So I'm thinking when those guys are hitting that puddle, it might be splashing up in front of him.
All right, this is Richard Hodges. He is running for Jay Stortz's points this weekend.
Again, Jay Stortz, one of our bouncer drivers, been racing with quite a while. You know him from Ford Play, although he sold that. And he even sold his backup buggy, so now he has a new one getting built. Pretty excited.
He's playing bouncer roulette.
He really was
this season.
It's a pretty awesome little bouncer. I've got to see some spy photos, but I haven't seen it done yet. So I think he's waiting to have a big unveil for it.
Well, we caught up with Richard just a little bit. He was walking by the trailer during our quick break, and said that he had not planned on racing this vehicle, and told Jay that he wasn't gonna go crazy fast, and he didn't want to tear it up. He didn't know about these rocks out here in Canvas, West Virginia, but he was willing to get those points for Jay Stortz today. So far, so good. The buggy's all in one piece.
He seems like he's actually flying into that course.
Yeah, you know what? Once you get into race mode, even if you had the intention of trying to kind of take it easy, that need for speed kicks in pretty quickly.
Does. Yeah. All that logic and thought go out the window pretty quickly.
I don't know about how it is for you when you go trail riding, Matt, but I know if I trail ride and, go out with my dad or something, pretty much we just end up going as fast as we can down the trails. It's not a nice, easy, meandering, technical crawling ride. It's us going as fast as we can, and whatever we're driving. It could be a rock bouncer, it could be a four-wheeler. Yeah. It could be an ace.
An ace.
You don't know. Whatever we got.
Whatever.
But we end up just going as fast as we can. It's hard. It's really hard to turn that off.
Go-karts, three-wheelers, whatever you guys are on.
Yep.
Yeah. And again, I could see you, your dad, your brother all getting out there individually kind of getting with it.
Definitely. Looks like Richard Hodges is going to make it out the finish line once again. No damage done, so I'm sure he's happy about that.
That's a 121.654 for Mr. Jay Stortz stunt double.
Not bad, not bad.
I'll say Richard Hodges only lives a few hours from here, so I was not surprised to see him here. Jay.
How could you pass up on the opportunity,
yeah,
right?
Justin Wills also lives pretty close here. I was teasing him about coming. He said, we can't. We got some projects going on.
Oh.
He's been doing some Pro 4 racing lately.
All right, this is Clint Garrison, another one of our stunt drivers filling in for Brandon Davis's points this weekend. Brandon Davis, speaking of being busy with some other types of racing series, Brandon Davis off doing his Ultra 4 thing this weekend. It's been a hot minute since we've had Brandon miss a race. He's kind of a staple around here, so it's a little weird not having Brandon and Cheryl out here. But he definitely picked a good fill-in driver with Clint Garrison. Clint, we usually see racing in the bouncer class these days. It's been several years. He used to race UTV class. Yeah. Mostly we see him in the bouncer class for the last few seasons. So
with the pink and purple cage, or like purple and blue cage, I'm trying to think.
I don't think I've seen this rig before.
Yeah, I was trying to think if I've seen it before, but I don't. It's pretty obviously pretty iconic.
I think I'd remember those colors.
Yeah, it being a single seat too, you'd think you'd maybe stand a little more. Definitely a little more narrow.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty nimble vehicle to have for in the trees and the rocks like this. Yeah. It's not a bad course for a vehicle like the single seat RS1.
Yeah, that single seat definitely is got to make quick work of that rock garden.
All right, Clint. The time to beat right now is a 97 from Robert Trainer. Clint is our fourth driver of course 2 for the Super Grip UTV stock class, so we're not quite halfway through. Beautiful day here. We are at the Good Evening Ranch in Canvas, West Virginia, enjoying an awesome day of racing. And that was a 115.628 for Clint Garrison, and getting those points for Brandon Davis. Dean Robbers is on the line now. Matt, I sure am glad that the sun's out. The rain has not come back.
Yes.
We're afraid that might be a possibility this afternoon, which, we race rain or shine. Sometimes I'll have people ask me, well, what do you do if it rains? Or what do you do if there's a storm? The weather gets bad. I'm like, we suck it up and get wet.
Yeah, that's yes.
Obviously, if it's something real crazy, we got tornado warnings, there's lightning, whatever. We'll pause and we'll have a storm delay before we get back at it. And we've had to do that before. When it comes raining buckets down, everybody takes shelter for a little while. But we race rain or shine.
And being a guy who's sat in a buggy while it's pouring down buckets, those rain delays, I'm okay with. Like, we want to pause for a minute. I'm totally okay with that. Again, I remember 2 years ago at Rush, we watched Jack back in, and it went from a sprinkle to a rain. And then Jay backs in. It goes from a rain to just a torrential downpour.
I think everybody's been there at one time or another. This is Dean Robbers out on the course now. And it begs the question, Matt, which is worse, a wet fire suit or 100-degree day in a fire suit?
I don't know.
Hot and dry or a wet fire suit getting rained on?
Yeah.
Neither one is good.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough question. They're both pretty equal there.
Equally uncomfortable.
Yeah. Dean is flying. Again, there must be a little lip there because I've seen 2 or 3 drivers.
That front tire lifted.
They leave the woods almost riding a wheelie. There must be a little bit of lip that kind of kicks that front end up. It's super cool to see. Not many times you can see a guy in 3rd, 4th gear ripping wide open, riding a wheelie across the field.
Yeah, what kind of speed do we think they're getting up to right here coming down the SCS slope? What do you think there, Matt?
I don't know. These guys have to be flying 40, 50 mile an hour
I
right
was
through
kind
there.
of thinking that. And then you got to check up because you're coming back through the trees, through these giant boulders.
Yeah, if not, they will help you check up.
Yeah, you can check up one way or another.
They'll put like a wheel delete kit on for you, or what.
We've seen that happen before.
So
poor Jay Storrs.
Yeah, poor Jay. Poor Jay. He's had some rough luck at this park in side by sides and in bouncers. He put some connecting rods to a pan one time. That was probably one of the coolest things I ever got to hear.
Ooh, that was a sudden stop. He's trying to put that. It's all good though.
Trying to put that wheel delete kit on there. Trying to save some weight, you know. That's a 102.420 for Dean Roberts.
That's a second place time right now.
Yeah, he was flying when he came by us.
Robert Trainer's still in the lead with a 97, but now followed by Dean Roberts with a 102.
And again, he was able to shave 7 seconds off his first time to second time from course 1 to course 2.
Yeah, we have seen improvement almost across the board so far for our drivers for course 2.
I think just getting in there, getting comfortable with it definitely makes you feel good.
Cooper Bentley taking off the line in Cohen Ellison's rig, filling in for his points today.
Those Ellison Racing crew have been one of our feature driver Fridays before.
And I'm sure Cohen's sister Sadie, who shares this buggy with him and races in the team class, I don't know. Do you think she gave Cooper a "please don't break my buggy" kind of talk
probably.
Before?
She's like,
I need that for tomorrow.
She's like, I'm giving you consent to race good, but not race hard. And again, Cooper's like, sure, whatever you say. I could hear Pepper. Don't break the little girl's rig. Oh, no. I'm hearing he tagged a flag at the top.
So if a driver flattens a flag, then that is a 30-second penalty. You guys will notice that we've got a lot of banners out on the course, and we've got tape. So you can see that yellow tape right there. The tape is marking the course, and that's it. That's to help the drivers stay on target and know where they're supposed to go. But the banners are also there to mark the course, to make sure our drivers check up anywhere where a safety issue could be, like maybe if there's something like a stump or a rock or a place where they need to be paying extra attention and don't just go flying across it. Also, of course, advertising purposes for all of our lovely sponsors, and to make sure that our spectator area stays safe. Again, drivers checking up in the areas that they need to. So, because of that, our banners are a 30-second penalty if they get run over by one of our drivers. So we hate to see that for Cooper.
Yeah.
It definitely happens on occasion for our drivers, even the best of them. You know, things get a little squirrely out there. You take a turn a little bit wrong, and pretty soon there's a banner right there. So with the flag penalty, that's a 134.702 for Cooper Bentley.
Again, with a really quick time, again, that's with
Still
a 30-second visit. Yeah, 104 definitely would have been a very fast time on this course. And again, having those flags up there kind of keeps all the drivers safe, but also make sure everybody's on the same course.
That's
you
right.
You don't want a driver cutting a little here, cutting a little there. Now, if you back up into a flag, there's not going to be a penalty because if you're backing up, usually things have gone horribly wrong. So if you're backing up, you're clearly not doing that for some type of advantage. So if you run over one as you're backing up, there's not going to be a penalty there. But
that's a good point, though, Matt. That it's we want everybody to run as close to the same course as possible, not cutting any corners, not looking for any shortcuts or anything like that.
Yeah.
So the banners are also there in order to make sure that everybody is running as much the same course as possible.
Keep it fair for everybody.
Yeah, and speaking of that banner, we got to go put it back up and get it fixed out on the course. So while they do that, we are going to cut to a quick break in just a second. Somebody's got to hustle on out to the far end of the track.
That's a long way down there.
And go put our banner back up.
And sometimes it's not as easy as just grabbing it and sticking it back on the pole. Sometimes it's been ran over, the pole's mangled, or the stake has been ripped out of the ground. So sometimes it is a quick fix. Other times, maybe not as quick there.
All right, guys, and while they go fix that banner, we're going to take our quick break. We will be right back here to continue the racing on Power Sports World. Don't go far.
Powerfly XD construction, asymmetrical tread design, extreme side biters, and more. Find your tire size today at MickeyThompsonTires.com.
Welcome back, everybody. We are just about ready to continue racing with Course 2. We had to get that flag fixed. Unfortunately, Cooper did get that flag penalty on his last run. Our fastest time right now is Robert Traynor with a 97.3, followed by Dean Robbers with a 102, and then Clint Garrison with a 115. That's your top three right now. We are halfway through Course 2, and we are ready to send Coy Chappell off the line.
I see them down there trying to get that flag fixed. It looks like they're trying to work on the end of the flag. Again, like we talked about, sometimes it's a real quick, easy fix. You just put it back on, stand it back up, whatever. Other times they get a little, when you run over them, they get a little more mangled. So sometimes it's a little more intensive repair to get it put back up. Again, this is a great time to make sure our course is clear. Make sure that we have safety on all the course.
Thank you guys for tuning in with us today on Hillside Live, hanging out here with Bree and Matt. If you are a new fan of the sport and of the series, welcome. Hope you're enjoying all this racing action today from the National Rock Racing Association. We'll have a lot more to come tomorrow here at the Good Evening Ranch in Canvas, West Virginia. We are going to have UTV Bounty tomorrow. We're going to have the Bouncers. We'll have our limited bouncer class, and then we've got our UTV Youth and our UTV Teen class. So lots of racing tomorrow from ranging all the way from the youth class on up to the bouncer. So it'll be a good time. Y'all be sure to tune in with us here on Power Sports World TV and check all that out as well.
And again, I would like to say bouncers are by far my favorite part, but the kids are so stinking cute.
They're pretty fun to watch.
They're super cute. They do a great job. They have their own little drivers meeting, and they're all very serious. They pay attention.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's very important. Again, just, very, very intense situation there. And then when they're done, they're like, oh, go.
Let's go play in the dirt.
Yeah, they go play in the dirt together. They play in the mud.
And our youth drivers range from 3 years old to 12. 12 is the cutoff. So you can imagine that those ages out there racing in 170s and 200s, it's pretty entertaining. Like Matt said, they take it very seriously. But they are just having the best time out here. It's a whole gang of our kid drivers always running around. When they get done with their racing, they're off making mud pies and playing in the creek and just whatever else they can get into.
Or even just playing in the mud.
Yeah.
We've seen some very great videos and pictures we've put up on our live show before of some of the activities they do together. Very cute.
They have a good time. What a childhood.
Yes.
To get to come race something, to hang out with all your friends that live and all over the Southeast, you know, and get to hang out and race. I don't know what I was doing when I was 4 or 5, but I wasn't racing stuff.
Yeah, I always make the joke. I'm like, I was probably eating sand in the sandbox.
Like maybe I had a Barbie Jeep.
That
would have been it.
Yeah. Not out there setting up your social medias for your race program.
Yeah, these kids are pretty cool.
They are. They're pretty sharp. It's very, very cool.
You guys will get to see all that tomorrow, so be sure to tune in with us. We start earlier on Saturdays, and we are on Eastern time right now, so we'll be kicking off around 10 o'clock-ish Eastern time tomorrow. And we'll just go solid until we get it all done.
So usually we have our drivers meeting around 9 o'clock of whatever time zone we're in. Have our drivers meeting at 9, then we'll usually kick off live feed shortly after that. But sometimes the drivers meeting can take a while. We have some random questions sometimes that work their way in. Like, what about this rock over here? Is that okay? Can we run over that?
Do we have to go around this tree?
Yes.
All right, guys, we are good to go now. Everything is back in order on the course. Coy Chappell has been waiting patiently in that race line starting gate.
That can get really warm sitting in that starting gate.
It sure can.
Sit with your race suit on, helmet all strapped in. Again, this is all SFI rated gear. Coy ripping out of that race line starting gate.
Coy had to be the first one out on the course. On course 1, and especially with that water puddle out there, which was at full capacity still. It's never easy being the first guy out on the course. You don't have the advantage of getting to watch how the others, pick a line or choose, how they're going to hit the obstacles and such. And in cases of if it's really wet, really muddy, something like that, of course, you're taking the brunt of it as the first guy out. But that's why, if you're not familiar with how we run the series, our drivers all get our number drawn. And we do our drawings on the Sundays prior to the race. And then we run all the odd numbers and then all the even numbers on course 1. And then we reverse that and we run all the even numbers and then all the odd numbers on course 2. So that way, whoever had to go first on course 1 isn't stuck there for course 2. It gets everybody kind of changed up. It's try to make it as fair as possible for, all the different, if the course is going to dry up, if something's going to get dug out, whatever. Somebody's not stuck in the same position all day. So we run odds and evens and then evens and odds.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Again, Coy out there on course just blazing through these rock quarries out there. And you can see how clean it was when he took off the starting line. He clearly power washed that, being that first guy you mentioned to hit the mud. It looked pristine up until he hit the puddle again, but it looked brand new. So he must have ran up and at least spritzed it off real quick. Try to show some love to the sponsors out there.
Maybe just poured a bottle of water over the side. Do what you got to do.
Yeah, he had cleaned it up. It looked good. And, again, nice, sharp-looking wrap. We have a lot of guys out there, really good-looking wraps out there.
104.486 for Coy Chappell. That is a third-place time currently. Robert Traynor still hanging on to the lead with a 97, and then Dean Robbers with a 102, and Coy Chappell with that 104. But we've still got quite a handful of drivers to go for Course 1. This is our Super Grip UTV stock class. Or, I'm sorry, this is Course 2. We already completed Course 1, so this is going to wrap up this day of racing for our stock class.
And we've seen some pretty quick times. I think everybody has shaved at least a few seconds off of their time.
Yep.
Obviously, Kubrick picking up a flag penalty didn't help, but
oh, well, that's true.
I think everybody else we saw pick up a few seconds at least.
This is Brantley Havens on the line. He is filling in for Don Curtis this weekend and getting those points for Don.
Getting Brantley, our first driver to graduate our youth program and start racing a full-size rig. And he has definitely gotten very comfortable with this
He's done an awesome job with it. Well, and it looks like he went ahead and pulled off the course, so maybe he had something wrong with the buggy.
Yeah.
Didn't want to run the full course. But, we get points awarded based on if you cross the starting line, break the beam, or attempt the course or the hills. So there's 5 points, 10 points, and then from there. So
and again, those 5 points and 10 points could be huge. 0 for a DNF, 5 for breaking the beam, 10 for attempting the course. And as you see, we split courses by a few points. That's huge.
Looks like Bert Sevy out on the course now. We talked a little bit during his first run earlier about Bert's rather memorable start to the racing here with us with the NRRA. He was at Winrock for our season opener, and man, he hit a stump so hard. And he, because of that, gained a whole lot of views from that video and has become a fan favorite. He got that buggy put back together, and we are definitely glad that he's still been joining us back out here for the rest of the season. Because, that's kind of a bummer. That's a hard thing to do for your first race, to come out and, almost total your rig.
It definitely destroyed the bulkhead on that thing.
Yeah, so luckily he was all right. He got the rig back together and got a pretty memorable story and video out of it.
He is just absolutely making super quick work of this rock garden. He thrashed going down and he thrashed coming back. Again, as Bree talked about that very first course of the year, he has no stranger to getting out there, going hard, and just battling through it. So it's great to see him out here just trashing this thing.
Well, and to see the change in his driving from, obviously he's all out and he's not afraid to go all out, but he's been laying down some better times, there's some great times, and finishing those courses now. and been having a really great rest of the season so far. Seat time makes a huge difference when you're starting out with racing.
That's a 110.332 for Bert Sevy. Again, I like the cage. That cage is kind of sleek how it slopes back on the back there. Kind of cool looking.
All right, looks like we just have 2 drivers left for course 2 of our Super Grip UTV stock class. Let's go ahead and check out our top 5 real quick before we wrap things up. See how things are standing here. We've got Robert Trainer hanging on to that top spot with a 97, followed by Dean Roberts with a 102, Coy Chappell with a 104, Bert Sevy now with that 110, and Clint Garrison filling in for Brandon Davis with a 115. But, Matt, who do we have on the line now?
Oh boy! Well, you see what I can only see the hood, but it's an iconic enough hood to know who that is. I feel like he tries to stick. This is Cayson. Cody Cayson. He tries to stick to that real you have to have body panels on there rather than be a full tube chassis. And I feel like he does
for the stock class.
For the stock class, and I feel like he does a really good job at trying to adhere to those rules and do the best he can by having that hood, fenders, stuff like that on there.
You know, we've talked about how Cody is our season champ. Far and away, he's got a 73-point lead coming into this weekend. He took the win at Oklahoma for our last event. And one thing that's always been interesting to me about Cody and his driving style, we saw him he raced the Cup class last season in, what do you call it, Daddy's Money?
Yes.
And went back to stock instead. He is so comfortable in this stock vehicle and does such a great job in it. And, you know, we usually think of, well, the stock class, while just as much fun to watch, they're not quite as capable as our unlimited class, as you can imagine, the parts and everything. But Cody, man, he can just lay down some smoking times and great runs, and he found his niche where he is comfortable in the stock class.
And it's crazy. I've literally seen him take this stock rig and put it on the podium in the Cup Series against guys racing full tube chassis vehicles. Yeah. It's very, very incredible. Again, just a heck of a driver.
He knows how to make this thing perform.
It does. And again, a very custom-built chassis. Custom-built cage on the back there. He has the bed delete kit. They've done a ton of stuff with it. And just an absolute demon behind the wheel of this thing.
Uh-oh. It seems like something is going wrong with the buggy right now. I think he's still going to make it through the finish line, though.
Yeah, he is flying through there. He had some trouble with that corner. Other than that, he looks like he's making really good time.
.855 for Cody Cayson.
Again.
And that's Clay Cayson, his brother right there. You can see walking back.
And again, a little bit slower than his first time, so I'm not sure what happened. It looks like it's driving by okay. I don't see any parts hanging off.
Yeah, I don't know.
Usually when they come by, you can see things literally limping away. There's parts hanging off. It's never a good thing.
It's kind of like after a person runs a marathon or something. You could cross the finish line if you want it bad enough.
Yes.
But you might be staggering and limping a little bit and collapse after it's over.
You're definitely not looking good. Let's just be honest. All right, we got Daniel Hoeckele sitting in that race line starting gate. When he broke a ball joint, had a tie rod hanging down on his first run, unfortunately had a DNF. But he's back to conquer some more. I think we're waiting to see a course clear. I think we got Cody pulled off.
And I believe that Daniel Hoeckele is going to be our last driver wrapping things up today for stock class.
Again, great to see. Glad to see him get it fixed and get back out there. All right, here clock is hot. Looks like he's getting the countdown. Again, this is one of our Can-Ams racing today. We've got a lot of guys in the Polaris Razors. Trying to stick up for Brandon Davis and the little Can-Am that could.
It's the Can-Am that can.
The Can-Am that can
this
now,
year.
yeah. After he put a new chassis, he's like, I can turn left now. It's so crazy.
Oh, we have one more driver to go here after Daniel.
It's always crazy to me how fast they get a very good groove worn in this track. Can you see that donkey kick right as they hit the edge of that lip right before they go into that turn? Again, it'll be interesting to see if the bouncers have that same issue tomorrow. With they have a lot bigger tire, a lot bigger shock.
I'm sure it's a much wilder ride out there around that field section of the course. The drone view is so awesome and it looks so nice. But they're in there bobbling around and fighting with the steering wheel, and trying to stay on their line. And Matt and I, since both of us race as well, we know what it feels like to be sitting in the driver's seat. And you're seeing sky and rock and dust and trying to, wipe off your visor so you can see. You're slapping for the shifter and trying to keep your hands on the steering wheel. And was I going to go to the left of that rock or the right of that rock?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, and again, that's true. Like, you're sky rock, and you're like, I'm pretty sure I'm still on the course. Like, I don't even know.
And it feels like you're going so fast.
It does.
And then you watch the video later, and you're like, okay.
You're like, wow, did I
not as fast as it felt like.
Did I run out of gears? What happened there? It looked like I'm crawling through the thing.
So these guys are working hard while they're in the driver's seat. Even though they might be making it look nice and smooth, they are in there definitely working for it. Just believe me.
That's a 108.584 for Mr. Daniel Hoeckele.
Wow. And Cody Cayson just put down a 108.8.
Wow.
And then Daniel with a 108.5.
Just squeaked in right beneath it. Again, fractions of a second. That's insane.
All right, Dillon Dowler is going to wrap things up for Course 2 of the Super Grip UTV stock class. This is going to be it for our stock guys for the weekend. Dillon had a second place finish on Course 1. See if he can hang on to that same momentum here.
Get Dillon flying through that rock section there. He also, again, for those of you that didn't tune in earlier, he is racing our UTV stock class now, but he does race our Unlimited as well, so you'll see him later on today. Doing some double duty today. So he is very, very well dialed into the course by now.
Yeah, this is his third pass around, not including the pre-running that he did this morning, where he actually broke but was able to get it back together. This is his 2017 Turbo Razor that he's racing right now for stock class. Originally built by Brandon Davis, sold to Clint Garrison, and then Dillon got it from Clint. He's been racing it for 3 years. So this is a tough little vehicle. You know if it went from Brandon to Clint to Dillon.
Yeah, those guys can definitely tear some stuff up. They're pretty aggressive drivers. They can beat on something pretty good. And Dillon does very well with this. Very competitive.
Last year was Dillon's first full season to race with us, which, man, it seems like it's been longer than that to me.
And I don't know if it's because it's two classes or...
Yeah, maybe. We just see him out on the course double.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of drivers that run double or even triple duty, though. Ooh, 99.408 for Dillon Dowler. That is a second place time. That was a great run from Dillon, an awesome way to wrap up our UTV stock class for the day, for the weekend. And before we finish things up here, we are going to go ahead and get our top 10 sorted out and go over those with you guys. There's an awesome shot of our race area here. We're at the Good Evening Ranch in Canvas, West Virginia. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, thanks to Dearborn Drone Co. That's a great shot.
Yeah, we've definitely been spoiled by some awesome drone footage this season for sure. Some beautiful countryside out here in West Virginia. And let's take a look at our top 10, guys. Robert Traynor hung on to the lead, followed by Dillon Dowler. Then we had Dean Roberts in third place, Coy Chappell, and then Daniel Hoeckele rounding out top 5.
Keep coming in sixth place, Cody Cayson. Seventh, Bert Savoy. Eighth place, Brandon Davis in his stunt double. Again, Jay and his stunt double in ninth. And Cohen Ellison in 10th for a stunt double. And that's just for course 2. Again, this is not final results for the day. But
that's right. All right, guys, with that, we are going to cut to a quick break. On the other side, we'll be back with Course 2 of the RCB Axle UTV Cup class.
What you want? No matter where your ride takes you. Whether it's a quick trip or a slow climb. When you choose RCB Performance Axles, you're guaranteed to finish every time.
Welcome back here on Power Sports World. We are ready for Course 2 of the RCB Axle UTV Cup class. We've seen some great racing so far today. Before we send those guys off the line, let me go ahead and go over our top 5 from Course 1 real quick, just as a refresher. Wade Good had the fastest time with a 91, followed by Cooper Bentley with a 92.1, Casey Howell with a 92.9, Clay Cayson with a 97, and then we had Nathaniel Bell with a 100.5. And you know what? They were so close. I'm going to go ahead out to 6th place. Dustin Medley had a 100.7. So some really tight times on Course 1. We are ready to rock and roll here for Course 2.
Looks like sitting the race line starting there. Making sure our course is clear. Make sure all cameraman and camera ladies are on place.
All right, Nathaniel Bell is on the course.
That sweet, iconic wrap on that TC-built chassis. And these guys, you can see, are going to the far right side now of that rock garden. Definitely a pretty gnarly course. Again, such big ledges for such a small vehicle. The park had a Wee Rock competition here last week to show how gnarly some of that stuff is. Those guys came out and played around and had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, it's a perfect place for Wee Rock.
Oh, yeah, it's perfect. Nathaniel Bell hitting the high-speed section there. And as Bree said earlier, Nathaniel does a great job at our Bounty Series, comes out and always competes hard. And I think he likes doing some of the harder stuff, a little more crazy, a little more wild stuff. I think he enjoys it.
Yeah, he definitely knows his way around the Bounty course, or Bounty class right now. This season, he's coming in, he's in first in points in Bounty right now.
Yeah, I think he just enjoys it.
The challenge.
Yeah.
Bounty class is our most challenging for our UTV drivers.
Yeah.
They run the same course as the bouncers run.
Which is just bananas sometimes when you see how big the ledges are.
Definitely takes things to another level.
Yeah. You're like, you're going to do what? With what?
Guys, I did want to correct real quick our top 5. I realize I messed up my numbers here. Dillon Dowler had the 4th place, and then Clay Cayson in 5th.
Yeah, those guys are just flying. Again, I'm interested to see. They're going through a little bit different course, but That's 1:00.796 for Nathaniel Bell on course 2. Again, I don't expect these times to be a whole lot quicker just because they're going to a different course, and that rock section, that first rock garden they go through is going to be a little bit more difficult. So I think the times are going to be comparable just because it is a much harder section of that rock garden. And shout out to all our course workers out here today, keeping us nice and flowing. Got Jesse Riley out there heading to that rock garden now. Again, you can see how big that rock is compared to that side-by-side.
Skating across it.
And they're starting on the far right side of that rock, and you can see them kind of skating over as the tires spin. But, again, wet and mud is never great with rocks.
It's a little sketchy out there. We got to keep these guys on their toes, though, Matt. We can't make it too easy on them.
Yeah. They are definitely on their toes out there. He came down and kind of stopped after he cleared that last rock, but I think he was checking to make sure he didn't break anything. Like, sometimes you come off a ledge and you hear some noises that you shouldn't supposed to hear.
A little rattling, a little clunking that wasn't there before.
You're like, that does not sound right.
Woo!
Yeah,
it
looks
does
like
not sound right.
Maybe his back left isn't spinning. I see a rooster coming off the rear right, but not the rear left. So I think left rear is not. Yeah, it's again, when you're in the rocks, you're bouncing around, you're getting tossed around. It's kind of like being in a boxing match, so you never know exactly what's going to happen. Again, this return rock section isn't as bad as necessarily that first section they went through. So
I think this is a course that he can finish in 3-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have courses where if we got a big hill, something like that, it's just not doable unless you got all four pulling. But I think this is one.
Some of the ledges you have to kind of jump and ramp, go fast enough to where you jump and ramp into them. I think some of those I just don't. I don't think you can make it if you don't have 100% power and all four wheels spinning.
It does make for a good show sometimes, though.
It does. It does. We are here for it.
Yeah. We're all for it.
We will cheer you on, okay?
Luckily for Jesse, that's not the case today.
See what that time's going to be. Wow.
150.613 for Jesse Riley.
With a broken axle, I believe. Again, it may be an optical illusion, but it looked like that rear left spin wasn't spinning when he was going around the corner.
I think you're right. Something wasn't when he came around off the race line ramp and come around the corner. You could definitely tell.
When he paused in the rock garden, so I think he probably heard it then. But
Matt Myrick on the course now in Knucklehead. I'm not calling him a knucklehead. Yeah. That's the name that Matt has for this little buggy, this big turbo hydro chassis that he had done for this season.
Again, you can see how he literally just slid. It's when it hit that big rock and it just slid to the left there. It's very slick up there.
I wish we could take you guys all out into these woods and stand next to the rocks and see how tall they really are. Because having it on camera just doesn't quite do it justice.
Yeah, it's incredible. Again, we need to make a video standing next to some of them, like, hey, this is the rock you guys don't think is that big. It's like 4 times the size of side by side. And again, looking at it, I remember watching when the sport of rock bouncing was just getting involved. I remember watching some videos on YouTube and like, oh, I could do that. That's a piece of cake. And then you come to a race and you're like, ooh, that's not.
You're like, oh, actually?
That's not okay. Like, what are you guys doing? What are you even thinking? Now it's like second, third
Start
gear.
rethinking your life choices.
Yes. Again, Matt is absolutely ripping through this rock garden down here. Definitely coming through, and Matt has definitely settled into his own. Ended up on the podium our last event.
Yeah, he had a third-place finish at our last race in Oklahoma, and he's also coming into the weekend third in points overall for the Cup class right now with 400 points. And let's see what kind of time he got on course 2.
That's a 1:23.086 for Matt Myrick.
Oh, and there's a nice view of our starting canyon.
Yeah, I love that's such an awesome shot. Again, took my dad and drove through in a side by side. We were kind of pre-running the course this morning. He's like, "This is really cool." I'm like, "Yeah, it's on GoPros. This is awesome."
Yeah, there's some beautiful scenery here in Canvas, West Virginia. We're racing at the Good Evening Ranch. Cayson is on the line. Clay is defending his champion points right now. He's got 479 points coming into the weekend. A 34-point lead over Cooper Bentley.
Wow, that's a lot of points.
He was on top of the box at our last race in Oklahoma. But he only had a 5th-place finish on course 1.
No.
Oh!
Dang it.
Oh, no. We had our first turnover.
You could hear him. He was mashing that gas to try to upright that thing. But unfortunately, and you could have seen with Matt Myrick, he had pulled in high, kind of slid down low. Unfortunately, Clay did not anticipate enough slide. Didn't appreciate a slide there and just came down, caught that back axle. And again, you cannot have outside help. Once you receive outside assistance, you're automatically at the DNF. So it looks like he's going to climb out and try to flip it over himself.
I think we saw him giving it a couple test lifts there. I don't know if he's in a place. He's pushing kind of uphill. We have seen drivers self-recover before. We've seen our UTV drivers, of course, not the bouncers. But a handful of times they've been landed just right, maybe pushing downhill a little bit, something where they're able to upright the buggy on their own, get back strapped in, and finish the course. And as long as you don't have outside help, like Matt said, no one else has touched the buggy or helped you with it, you can climb back in and finish your run, and it will definitely count. But it's definitely not super common, but it is real fun when we get to watch that happen.
Usually those are very young men with strong backs that don't have to worry about that the next day.
I think we've seen Nathan Ellison self-recover twice this season.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Nathan Ellison.
Or I'm sorry, Cohen Ellison.
Yeah, Ellison, and we saw like maybe.
I think Cody might have. Did he get it back up?
Did he get it flipped back over by himself?
Well, I don't know. We missed his recovery.
I saw a bunch of guys crowding around, so I assumed he was.
I'm thinking he had help. If he was able to recover it on his own from that angle, I will be very impressed.
Yeah. We'll see how fast he comes across through here.
All right, he's just coming back out, getting off the course. That is unfortunate for Clay, especially being the points leader. But with that 34-point gap, it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out and what, let's see, we've got Cooper had a second-place time on course 1 and came into the weekend second in points. And then we've got, let's see, Dillon Dowler might be moving up on Matt. I don't know. I think our top 5, we're going to see some shakeups.
Yeah, 34-point difference between Clay and Cooper. Cooper had a great run this weekend, so unfortunately, he might be.
Cooper's still got to make his second run, though. Speaking of Cooper, is that Cooper that I see on the line?
No, I think that is.
This is Braden.
Upchurch.
Braden Upchurch. I just saw the blue.
Yeah. I was looking at the roof line. That roof line is kind of that crazy roof line, a little different. It looks very similar to Cooper's, but a little bit wider. All right, we have Clock is Hot. Here we go. That Rock Life bread wrap, I love it. Again, for my Talladega Night fans out there. Got any Ricky Bobby fans out there? Again, the Rock Life always does really good wraps on their buggies.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Another victim.
Is he stuck as well? Looks like he's able to wiggle it, but I don't know if he's... Is his front end spinning? Like...
It's definitely not the first time we've seen somebody get hung up in high center here at Good Evening Ranch and these rocks. Oh, Braden is climbing out.
He might be able to just push it back enough to get some traction if he's just kind of high-centered.
I'd say there's a good chance he can make this work.
He's trying. You can see him trying to just squat that, but it must be wedged in there. Because it doesn't look like it's...
He's going to have to lift and push, so I don't know.
I don't think it wiggled at all.
Oh, man.
Kind of throw his hands up.
That is always such a bummer to see. You know, you spend a lot of time, effort, and money. It's time on the road, getting ready for these events, traveling to the events, and then for something like this to cause a DNF. You know, we've all been there before. It's part of racing, unfortunately, but it's still a bummer to see. We hate that for the drivers. Yeah,
again, you hate to see that. Just so frustrating and just, not such discouraging after you spend all that time. And like Bree said, money, trying to get to the race, working on it, come out and have a run that you're not wanting is just kind of really discouraging. But
the good thing for Braden, though, is, we'll help him get recovered off of there, but he didn't break anything. I mean, I highly doubt it anyway, the way that he is on the rock right now.
Looked like he was just spinning tires.
Yep. He might still be giving it a try.
Yeah. You can see tons of smoke coming off the tires. So
we've got Cooper, Bentley, Cody, Cayson, Casey Howell all running up there. If they can spot him and try and help him get out of there, they're going to try to. But we're going to have.
I could see guys wiggling back and forth. I could see him trying to wiggle it back and forth, kind of jerk the steering wheel right and left. We've all been stuck in mud where we've worked it back and forth just enough to get a little more farther and get some traction. So, unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's spinning the tires fast, but I don't think he's getting traction. Dang it. You hate to see that. And it looks like Cody's sitting in front of him trying to give him some guidance, but,
I don't think he's got enough contact on the
agree.
tires right now.
Dang it.
We're going to toss to a break. All right, guys? I'm going to count you to a break. All right, stand by, Taylor, with our break. And 10, 9, toss us, guys. 10.
All right, guys. While they continue with this recovery for Braden, we are going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to continue all the racing.
Within providing them the strongest axle on the planet. Our UTV line uses all 300M components, high-temp synthetic moly grease, to handle the abuse of these short courses or long desert races, whatever these guys are doing. They've been pushing the limits, and we've been keeping up. So the years of development for the Pro Series line with our 300M, we have learned so much. We've taken that technology and we've taken the things out of it that make it, absolutely the strongest and made it the strongest in class for trail use. And we've come out with a Trail Series axle. And that axle is going to be 4340 chromoly steel, all U.S. made, and it is going to be the best in class for your trail. So you don't necessarily have to get the Pro Series. If you're not out here racing, if you don't have 300 horsepower hill killing with these guys, you can get a Trail Series RCV axle and go out and cruise with your buddies with peace of mind that you're not going to break. So for everything UTV, visit us at rcvperformance.com. And for Trail Series, find us at trailseriesaxle.com.
Welcome back, everybody. We got that recovery finished, and we are ready to keep moving on for course 2 of the RCV Axle UTV Cup class. That was Braden Upchurch that needed some assistance getting off the rock there and the course, and I believe we've got Jesse Phillips on the line now.
Yeah, I hated to see that for him. Again, had a great run going there, nice chassis. Unfortunately, just couldn't get it up there.
Oh, speaking of unfortunate.
Yeah, I think I just popped out of gear.
Still, bummer to cost him a couple seconds there off the line.
It's such a horrendous sound when those pop out of gear, because then you have to wait till it calms back down to get it back in gear. And again, I know there's guys that have been watching these guys as they're coming up having issues with that. So whether it's sliding over, roll over, get stuck. And I'm not sure. Maybe he might have broken an axle or two. So I definitely want to see if he had broken something or it was just really high centered. You could kind of smell the rubber as it was drifting this way. But we'll definitely watch the bouncers have that same approach tomorrow as well.
Yeah, speaking of bouncers, if you guys haven't watched them race before, you're going to want to tune in with us back here on Power Sports World tomorrow. The bouncers are going to be bringing that 1,000 horsepower, the 43-inch tires, all that fun, big, loud stuff here for us to watch and enjoy the racing action. So that's going to be kicking off tomorrow. We will start with our UTV Bounty class. We're going to start around 10 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. And then we'll have our bouncer class, limited bouncer, and our UTV youth and UTV teen class running as well. So lots to watch. And if you haven't seen all that before, you're definitely going to want to tune in with us here.
He is absolutely blasted through this course. Again, it's interesting to see times compared first course to second course. You know, once we have a few of them, you can kind of see how it's shaken out. But the times are being pretty comparable. Guys getting out there and pushing hard. And this second rock garden where they're going down around the tree and coming back, it's the exact same course 1 as course 2. So definitely a nice warning groove, and they're very, very accustomed to it, trying to set quick times.
With a 1:14.802 for Jesse Phillips. And now we've got Wade Good on the line. He is running for Ethan Hunt's points this weekend. We usually see Wade in the bouncer these days. He did start off racing in the UTV classes with us, but that's been several seasons ago now. Fun to see him back in the UTV today, and we'll see him tomorrow in the bouncer.
Yeah, and again, Wade is no stranger to driving anything hard. I think you could put him on like a 3-wheeler, and he'd be out there like doing donuts, riding wheelies.
Probably put him in some power wheels and set him loose.
You could. He'd come back, one wheel would be hanging off. He'd be like, I don't know what happened.
Oh, no!
Dang it.
I think he's thinking, I don't know what happened right now.
Yeah.
Oh, he hit it hard, and he almost was able to just carry the momentum and slide on over, but slid a little too far.
Again, it's kind of pitching everybody to that left side. They're kind of coming in high, and it's sliding down. Unfortunately, a little too much side-to-side motion carried in, caught a rock, and tipped right over. Dang it, you hate to see that for Wade.
And Wade had our fastest time on course 1. So now with that DNF, the door is wide open for Cooper Bentley to walk through now. Casey, Howell, Dillon, Dowler still to go. Those were our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th places from course 1. So, man, it's shaking things up here.
And again, Cooper having that 2nd fastest time on course 1. You know he's definitely watching this. All right, this is our Ames Oil action replay here. Again, you can see he kind of came in high on that right side. It started to slide down and just, again, unfortunately dropped off. The side-by-sides do have a lot more issues with the smaller tires just because, you know, rock bouncers have such a big tire, such a big wheel. It's easier to kind of drop off one side or the other, not as much momentum shift. Unfortunately, Wade just had a little too much momentum shift there and wasn't able to keep it going forward. But bummer for Wade. A heck of a great driver, and we're going to see him tomorrow. He's a pretty fierce competitor. He's going to do okay, I think. Again, looks like he's getting getting Keith Toolman down there. Again, he's our recovery expert. Appreciate him and all he does for us. He has lots of recovery gear as well as he has tools and parts. I've used his welder to weld my buggy back together before it races. I've used wrenches, bolts. You know, it's just it's a good time. He takes good care. And it's not just like me. He has literally all the racers, UTVs, bouncers, youth. I mean, if he doesn't have it, you're in big trouble, you know.
Oh, yeah. Keith is a huge part of our recovery component out here. Always so thankful to have him join us with his recovery expertise. And all of our recovery staff and volunteers for helping us and helping keep things moving safely and smoothly here, so we can keep the races going, keep the drivers safe, and get them recovered when needed.
It looks like he's driving around. Keith is leaving the area right next to us. He's driving around to the top side, and they're going to throw a chain down, throw a strap down, get him flipped back over. Use that sweet Warren recovery gear. Get him flipped back over. That's going to be that's a hard rocket where it's pinned against you. You need to have some pretty good recovery gear to get that out.
I think all those guys standing around there, surely they could have flipped that thing over. Put your backs into it, boys.
Yeah.
It is in a little bit of a tough spot.
It is. And, again, sometimes they get wedged against those rocks, and it's almost unimaginable to get out of there. We've seen several of our bounce drivers have that same issue on the hills that are racing right behind us tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
They get wedged in some of those, and it takes 2 or 3 recovery vehicles. We had a dozer and a couple winches hooked to Brandon Davis last year to try to get him unwedged from there. So
sometimes the recovery operation turns into like an engineering feat.
It does. It does.
You gotta like break out the calculus, you know, to
You're like, wait, we gotta lift it first and then pull it this way.
We need it at this angle.
Yeah, but don't let it twist, you know.
But we can't reach the the backhoe or the winch from up here, so we need you over there.
Yeah. That's never a good thing. Again, shout out to our recovery team out there and safety crew for making sure all of our drivers are safe. We got fire extinguishers on course as well as our camera crew out there giving us these awesome shots. Appreciate all those guys in live feed.
Yeah, thank you guys all for tuning in with us here today on Hillside Live, hanging out with us and enjoying all this racing action here on Power Sports World. And I hope you guys are able to tune back in tomorrow. I mean, it's a Saturday. What else do you have better to do on a Saturday than watch some fun racing action? And it is going to be fun. We got all the classes racing tomorrow, and especially, of course, the big bouncers. So you guys need to make sure, if you can, come on and tune back in with us. And if not, you can always catch the live feed on Rock Racing TV on YouTube as well.
And again, doing that from the air conditioning sounds like a great idea. Like, how hot is it outside? Yeah, we're going to stay inside today. We're going to
grab yourself a snack and a drink
get
and
some
get posted
snacks,
up in the AC.
Order a pizza, whatever, get some monocles, get some Mexican, whatever you're into.
Yeah, I don't know what the weather is like, where everybody's watching from. Our audience is very widespread, but I know where I'm from in Middle Tennessee, we've had a heat advisory for days now, and it has just been so hot and humid. So we've had a little break from the humidity here in West Virginia, which has been really nice.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate that. And while they finish that recovery, guys, speaking of the bouncers that are going to be racing tomorrow, here is a little throwback to some of the carnage that we had here last year. So y'all check this out.
Oh, no!
Oh, no!
Tree, catch that tree. All right, he might be laying back on his wheels. Oh, man. I think he's done. Oh, no! Get back on your wheels.
Oh, man. It almost worked. He almost landed it at the top.
He's got a flat. That's not good.
Here we go.
I don't know. We don't need the wheel to hit. Nope.
Oh.
Tree. That's tree. Yeah.
Not good.
Oh, man. He had a great run going.
Go, go, go!
Oh!
Right there. If he can keep the... Oh, he is right there.
Oh, no! self-recover from this one, unfortunately. All right.
See what he's going to do.
Oh, went far left.
Get back on the wheels.
Wait.
There he goes.
All
yes.
right. It's not over yet.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Oh. Get back on the wheels. On the wheels.
Wow. Nick, be cool. Be cool. Oh. Wait.
He's caught in the tree.
No, I don't.
What do you do now?
I don't know how he can get out of that.
I think he's going to try to push pressure against the tree and maybe swing the front around.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
Dang it.
All right, guys, that was a little taste of what tomorrow's bouncer racing action might be like.
Yes.
I'm kind of hoping we don't have quite as much carnage and recovery, but it's going to be exciting one way or another, so y'all make sure that you tune back in with us for that.
That was definitely some craziness, and I love my commentary. I go, "What do you do now?" And you're like, "I don't." Like,
good question.
Do you back up? Do you go forward? Do you stab the gas? Cut the wheel? Like, what is your play in there? And sometimes you really don't know. Like, you kind of just guess your
Hope
best.
for the best.
Yeah, like have your best guess what you're shooting for. Again, some wild rides. Again, Colby. I remember he took a pretty good tumble. There were several guys who kind of just hit that top lip and landed at the bottom of the hill. Man, had some rough rides, but. Again, came out. He was saying, immediately climbed out and was like, I just want to say thank you to my safety gear. He's like, I have no pain. He's like, it's great. I feel wonderful. He's like, this stuff really works. You know, he's like, it was really handy.
That's why they wear it. Yeah, it'll be, I'm interested to see how everyone handles that hill again tomorrow.
And it looks like it's a little more washed out than it used to be, but they did remove a tree. So
that might make a difference.
I have no idea how that's going to shake out for tomorrow. It looks like they got Wade off the course. I know that Keith Toolman went to the top, and Mr. Toolman went to the top and kind of winched him out of the way. What's funny is until we did the award, I thought his last name was Toolman. And then somebody's like, yeah, it's Cheryl Snell. And I was like,
Shell.
And I was like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. You think his wife has a different last name?
His
than him?
honorary name is Toolman.
Yes.
He is the tool man.
And they're like, we're going to give this record from, and I was like, wait, what? What's his name?
You're like, who's Keith Shell?
I was like, who's Keith?
Who's that?
I don't know. He must be a new driver. I don't know. Again, him and his wife are just two of the most amazing people. They're both very lovely, very kind, do an amazing job.
Yep, they are a big part of the race fam. So right now, Nathaniel Bell has the fastest time on course 2 with a 100. And then we've got Jesse Phillips with a 114, Matt Myrick with a 123, Jesse Riley with a 150, and a handful of DNFs.
Yeah, and it looks like we've got, again, Wade. That was kind of surprising. Seen several drivers ended up with a DNF that I didn't think we'd see in that category. Again, Cayson being one of them. Again, amazing drivers.
Yep.
Just, sometimes the momentum goes a different direction. You don't see it. And these guys drive on full tilt racing on two wheels so common.
Yeah, Wade came in hot to that rock.
And I've seen Wade do some acrobatics with his rock bouncer, so it is not uncommon for those guys to be on two wheels. So they're getting really comfortable driving there. Unfortunately, the little momentum kicked him a little bit more, and so it kind of rolled over. I didn't plan on seeing that. That was not on my bingo card for this weekend.
I don't think it was on Wade's either.
Yeah, so hate to see that for Wade. Again, doing a great job racing. Very excited for those guys. And unfortunately, had a few DNFs. I think tomorrow's going to be a very interesting day.
It's going to be something. It'll be fun to watch. Y'all make sure that you tune in with us for that. We are a little over halfway through Course 2 for the RCV Axle UTV Cup class. We've still got Dustin Medley, Dillon Dowler, Cooper Bentley, and Casey Howell, it looks like. And let's see, Cooper, Casey, and Dillon were our second, third, and fourth places on Course 1. And now that first place, Wade had a DNF. Fifth place, Clay had a DNF.
Yeah, that shakes it up. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Hey, everybody tuning in with us today. Again, we know we've had a few issues getting guys off the course, but it's been pretty smooth overall. Pretty quick times. The rock gardens, I thought we'd see a lot more recovery of guys breaking. Ball joints, tie rods, trailing arms, steering. We've seen some steering issues so far this year, but so far it's pretty quick times and very little recoveries. Yeah,
well, thankful for it. There's no telling what tomorrow's recoveries might be like. So
again, you guys just saw that highlight video there. It can get interesting really fast in the bouncer class. So, and I think that hill's gotten a little worse, not better. So I don't know how tomorrow's going to shake out. But the good news is I am going to be here for it. I get a front row
here
seat
one way or another
to watch all the racing action.
And we're enjoying. We're not getting rained on today. They were calling for some storms this afternoon. So we're enjoying the sunshine here. We're enjoying the lower humidity.
Yes.
I don't know how it's been for you in Illinois, Matt, but in Tennessee, the humidity and the heat have just been nasty the past few days. So
it's same. It's
nice break from that.
We have some of the highest bushel per acre for corn and soybeans in the world.
Oh.
Unfortunately, that trade-off is we also have massively high humidity, and it's kind of miserable some days. You walk out, and you just breathe hard. You're like, it's like in your mouth,
Yeah.
But
can cut the air with a knife.
For real.
Dustin Medley is on the line, and he is ready to roll. Let's send him.
Again, this is a front and rear steer Pro R. Dialed up to about 400 horsepower, and just absolutely screams.
And it seems like he might be having an issue with the rig right now. I saw him, the tires twitch just a little bit like he was going to go. And then it died. He's been sitting there for a bit, and it is hot.
Yeah, and again, those like rocks on both sides. You've seen the drone fly through a couple times right there. And it's like 20 feet straight up, so the heat definitely can climb pretty quick there if you're just sitting there.
I heard him start up, but I think it quit again.
Again, this is such an impressive rig. Again, all-wheel drive, all-wheel steering, that four-cylinder Pro R. And with us, they can give you a clock is hot, 3, 2, 1, give you a countdown. Your time does not actually start until you cross that starting beam.
Right.
Same for finishing. Your time does not stop until you cross that finishing beam. So right now, if he does have a mechanical issue, they can go ahead and help him get ready, give him his time. Unfortunately, his clock won't start. Fortunately for him, his clock won't start until he actually crosses that starting line. But yeah, you can see right by that driver front tire, right under the edge of it, you can see that starter timer right there, a couple of feet in front of him. So when he breaks that beam, that is when his time officially starts. So right now he hasn't actually started the clock, which is really nice. Again, I'm not sure what the issue was, but they said he was able to get it started, but it sounded like it died.
Cut off again, yeah.
Died immediately after. So
Knox over there with some assistance.
And again, you hate to see that. You put all this time, you put all this effort in, show up, and have something as silly as like a relay goes bad or a fuse. Again, a loose connection to a starter wire, or maybe a sensor isn't making a good connection, and so it won't allow you to start the vehicle. These vehicles are designed in with safety features. I know a lot of them with the Hoeckele system, if you see zero oil pressure, it will shut the engine off. That way it doesn't blow up your motor. But, again, sometimes that sensor can read bad or have a bad ground. But it looks like they're going to get him pulled out of the way while he gets it figured out. But, man, you hate to see that.
Yeah, when you got Keith backing in, that's
it's
never a good sign.
Yeah, it's never a good sign, unfortunately. Man, that's a bummer. Again, just because this is such a just a feat of engineering in this vehicle. I love watching it run. Such an awesome power rig. We actually watched him at Fiddler's Bend in two-wheel drive complete a course. Just came in and just never lifted, He had, I think, tore a drive shaft up, which broke something in the diff. So they just took the drive shaft out and let him run it in two-wheel drive, and he mainly never lifted off the gas. Normally we hear him kind of on the gas and off the gas a lot. Hear that pop-off valve from the turbo. That day he just held it straight to the floor. I think for the entire run.
The gas.
It was, I think, the first time I ever heard that thing just wide open the whole race. But man, you hate to see that. Very cool chassis. You got an awesome build. Got to watch that car get unveiled at Winrock this year. Kenneth Cozine over there helping him getting it pulled off the course there. Man, that's a bummer. Hopefully they can get that fixed and come back and do some racing with us.
You know, in retrospect, Jeremy, I think you may have pulled too much power out of me.
And to all of our viewers on Power Sports World right now, due to TV time constraints, we are going to go ahead and have to wrap up and sign off for now, but we are going to continue our racing, of course, and we will have a highlight package to show you tomorrow to catch you up on the rest of the racing that you're going to miss today. We want you guys to tune back in with us if you can at about 10 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow morning. We're going to be back with all that racing action that we've been telling you about, and we'll have that highlight for you from the rest of today that we're going to go ahead and wrap up. So we hope to see you guys around 10 o'clock. Thank you so much for tuning in with us here on Hillside Live today. You've been hanging out with Bree and Matt. We will see you tomorrow. Okay, everybody who is joining us on Rock Racing TV on our YouTube channel, we are definitely still going to be live on here to finish up the rest of our racing. And I believe this is Landon K that we are sending off the line.
Again, he's raced with us a little bit this season. Definitely enjoyed. They built this chassis in like 28 days or something like that.
Landon didn't do course 1.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if he had something he had to take that time to fix, or he did. He was lined up and then he pulled off, and they said something about how he'd been overheating. So,
okay,
I'm glad to see him being able to come out at least and do course 2 with us.
Yeah, this is a 2-seater rig he built because he likes trail riding. He wanted to do some racing. He said, "I think we're going to go ahead and build a single-seat car as well." They got parked next to us in the parking lot, so we've been chatting a little bit this weekend, hanging out. He said, yeah, we built this in like 28 days. He said, but it is a very sharp-looking car. Some of their welding, they have a welding and fab shop as well as they do staffing solutions. And he goes, so we build some cool stuff. We have some fun in our welding and fab shop. Definitely a sharp-looking car, kind of a maroon chassis with black panels. Yeah, I'm not sure what his issue was. I know they had pulled him off, or he pulled off.
Everything seems like it's working good right now. He's got a great run going. The time to beat right now is a 100 from Nathaniel Bell.
And again, this is being his first run through this woods course. May not be as quick as some of the other guys, but definitely having some fun out there racing with us.
Hey, getting to do one course is better than getting to do no courses.
Oh, yeah.
So.
That was a 108.250.
Nicely done. That's a second place time right now on course 2. Dillon Dowler is in that race line starting gate now. Dillon had a 4th place finish on course 1. Now that Wade, who was our 1st place finisher, had a DNF, and Clay, who was our 5th place finish, had a DNF.
Yeah.
Watching these next 3 drivers, Dillon, Cooper, and Cayson, very interested to see how this all shakes out because they were our 4th, 2nd, and 3rd place finishers on course 1.
And you came in that big rock that everybody was having trouble with. Came in real hot and then definitely took his time, kind of sliding over it.
It made it look pretty smooth, though.
He did. It took his time there. And again, I think he had definitely used his knowledge from watching some of the other guys to make sure that's exactly where he wanted to be at. Nice, smooth run going.
Toting a little bit around the corner there.
Making quick work through this rock garden there.
Is Dillon going to beat the 100 from Nathaniel Bell? I don't know. It kind of seems like he's on par right now.
He is flying. Definitely ripping through there.
He came into this weekend 4th in points, so been having a good solid season so far.
Yeah. Again, shout out to Dearborn Drone Co. for giving these awesome shots down here in this valley.
Ooh. 97.681. Dillon Dowler is our new leader on course 2. We've got just 2 drivers left for course 2 of the RCV Axle UTV Cup class, and that is going to wrap up our day of racing here at Good Evening Ranch. We've got Cooper Bentley on the line, and then we'll be watching Casey Howell.
Next up, Cooper Bentley.
Cooper coming out hard, but again, all that weight is sitting right now on his shoulders for the day going, hey, I had the 2nd fastest run on course 1, and the guy who finished ahead of me had a DNF. So he is just trying to squeak through there, and now I think it's going to be...
So he took the low line instead of going up over the top of the rock. He stayed at the bottom of it because, like you're saying, Matt, he had 2nd place finish on course 1. Wade is out of the game for course 2. So the door's open for Cooper Bentley, and he doesn't necessarily have to, hit the ragged edge here.
Yeah. He doesn't have to have the fastest time because he had that 2nd place time on course 1.
But I'm looking at these times again, Matt.
They are quick.
Cooper had a 92.1. Casey had a 92.9.
Wow.
Breathing down his neck.
So, again, if we go to combined times, you're splitting fractions of a second. That's incredible.
And with only 34 points between Clay in 1st place and Cooper in 2nd place overall in points coming into the weekend, If Cooper can pull off this win right now, that'll really tighten things up.
Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. Getting Cooper out there just ripping through that course. See what that time's going to be. That's a 106.330 for Cooper Bentley. Not a smoking hot time, but again, he just needed to get a good finish out of this.
That is a third place time right now on course 2. Casey Howell is on the line. Casey had that third place finish, barely behind Cooper Bentley.
So if he can squeak out past Cooper here with, 0.8 of a second.
Cooper might have been just a little too conservative coming into that first bit of the rock garden. But I don't know. It's hard to say.
We'll see what Casey does. Again, if Casey can finish on this second course with 0.8 faster than Cooper.
Oh, Casey's taking the high line. And it worked.
He might have shaved the time right there.
He's still got a lot of course to finish, though. Oh, no!
Dang it.
He smoked that rock with his rear driver's side tire.
Absolutely just smashed that boulder.
And he is over.
Dang it.
Man, just got a little bit out of the line there, coming out of the woods.
Dang it. Just barely caught that boulder and just rocked that whole vehicle. Man. I was trying to see what kind of damage he did to that wheel. I probably tore some stuff on the back of that knuckle, but I said it doesn't look too bad right now. Again, that super close drone footage there.
We've got the thumbs up from Casey. He's good. They are just inspecting the damage and probably seeing if he can drive off or if they're going to need to drag him off the course here.
Man, hate to see that. Again, Casey had a smoke and run going, and I'm going to say that was enough to be the fastest time to put him on the podium for the weekend. But
it was looking pretty good.
Dang it! Although Cooper has to be not really complaining right now
because he's not too sad about it.
He's like, oh man, that stinks. Again, looks like they're getting everything moved around down there. Looks like he's going to try to get hooked up to that and get it drug out of the way. All right, we got an Ames Oil replay here. Again, you can see him sliding almost sideways. Dang it. He tried to gas on it, looks like, try to bring it back up again. But I don't honestly, even if he got it back up, I don't know if that'll help because I would say there's something broke back in the back. Dang it. Just barely caught it, too.
Just a little out of the path there.
Yeah.
That's all it took.
Dang it. You hate that for Casey. And had a smoke and run going.
All right. And did we get confirmation that Dustin Medley is out? Dustin Medley's out? All right. Here's our top 5 from course 2, guys. Go ahead and ignore some of those headshots. We just really wanted you to look at Cooper's face there. Dillon Dowler had the fastest time with a 97, followed by Nathaniel Bell. And then we had Cooper's face there with a 106 in third place. Landon K with a great run, 4th, and then Jesse Phillips rounding out the top 5 for course 2.
Again, Dang it, man. You hate to see that again for those. I had some great runs today. Again, that second course, a lot more problems than I anticipated.
Those were some unexpected rollovers, but that's a huge boulder there that they're having to or trying to cross over. So, stuff happens.
Yeah, bummer. That's a big bummer. Again, had a nice smooth road going, but unfortunately not able to hang on to it. That stinks.
All right, actually, Dustin Medley is going to make his run. Plot twist.
Plot twist.
And here we go.
Again, that ground wire we were talking about earlier, a fuse or a relay, can instantly take you out of the race. Good news is it can also put you right back in. So that's good for him. Able to get out there and get a run.
Well, let's see if he can shake up our top 5 at all.
Again, having that rear steer might help you in that rock garden run. I know
I'm sure.
A lot of guys having rear steer, you're adding a lot more components. That's a lot more stuff that can get broken. So there are some guys that might not prefer that, but watching him whip through there definitely is a big advantage today.
Yeah, I think being as nimble as possible is great for this kind of course for these rock gardens.
Again, watch him come out into that open field, kind of ride a wheel there is pretty cool too.
Yeah, he's getting after it.
Again, this return course is pretty easy. I mean, it's still gnarly, but it's pretty easy compared to some of the other parts of the rock garden. They're a little rougher.
All right, I think our top 5 might be about to change it up a little bit.
He's flying through. And he's going to use that rear steer down around that tree. Whipping around down there.
Yep, nice and smooth.
Kind of Wade Good and Danny Smith, those guys are just both super surgical with that rear steer.
With a 99.906.
Wow.
That is a second place finish on course 2. A great run from Dustin Medley. That's going to push down Jesse Riley, I believe it was, from 5th place.
All right. Viper gets our totals added up over there. Check it out.
All right.
Get our race line starting gate tore down. Again, that'll be back up tomorrow for all of our bouncer classes as well as our UTV Bounty Series. We have several classes racing tomorrow, our youth and amateur class. A lot of racing going on to action. Make sure you guys tune back in with us. Appreciate you on the live feed. So everybody in the comments as well.
All right, so our updated top 5 is going to be changed up just a little bit after Dustin Medley's kind of sneak attack run at the end there. We want to get that up on the screen for you guys so you can see those nice headshots, especially Cooper's.
Yes. I always say technology is wonderful when it works.
Yeah. It's a work in progress the rest of the time.
It is. When your cell phone doesn't work, it's like, oh, look, it's dead or it won't turn on. It's like
I don't want to throw it across the room.
Yeah.
All right, let's check that top 5 now. Dillon, Dowler hung on to the lead, but then Dustin Medley now just snuck up to that 2nd place. And then we had Nathaniel Bell now in 3rd, Cooper Bentley now in 4th, and Landon K rounding out top 5. That does complete our day of racing here for our UTV Stock and UTV Cup classes. We've got some trophies to give out now. And then, of course, we'll be back tomorrow to do it all again with all the classes starting at about 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You guys can join us on Power Sports World for the live TV stream. Check it out at pswtv.com. Thank you guys for joining us here today on Hillside Live. It's been a lot of fun. We'll see you again tomorrow.
We'll see you guys.